What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Night YouTube channel. In today's video, guys, we are going to cover UnderQuest. This is the brand new dungeon crawling solo player game by Jason Glover. Now, fair warning, the game has not released yet as of the recording of this video, but I'm excited to go over all of the information and images that Jason has shared over the last several months as he's been developing and designing UnderQuest. And we're just going to hype up the game, guys, get you guys sort of in the loop, and I'm going to try to provide all of the information about UnderQuest right here in one video so you don't have to go, looking for all the different parts that have been shared. Jason's been sharing things on his website. He's been sharing images on his Instagram, on his X account, but I'm going to condense all of that stuff right here into one video, and we're going to do a deep dive and go over all the stuff that's been teased so far for the game. I'm sure there's some stuff that he's kind of kept under wraps that we're going to have to wait for the actual release of the game to see. But yeah, guys, so sit back, relax with me, dudes, and we're going to get into UnderQuest. I am so excited for this. So what I want to do first is I'm actually going to read some of Jason's own thoughts from his website here, and I'm going to give you kind of like a little bit of a backstory of how UnderQuest came to be. So we're going to jump right into this here. So it says, shifting back to UnderQuest. He says, okay, so a few months ago, I put UnderQuest on the back burner to focus on a couple of other projects, Tin Realm and the Gnome Pack. I'm sure you guys know that by now. I've put it on my channel a bunch of times, Tin Realm, and mentioned the Gnome Pack a lot. Anyway, back to Jason's post. He says, at the time, I was not exactly happy with what UnderQuest was becoming. Not that it was shaping up into a bad game, but rather it was drifting further and further from my vision. Sometimes you have to take a project and just set it aside for a bit, focus on something else for a while, and then come back with fresh eyes. So where does this leave UnderQuest? My biggest issue was the more I worked on UnderQuest, the more it felt like I was making things more complicated than they needed to be, and I also was quickly losing interest in the art direction. The black, white, and red palette was fairly restrictive on what was going to be a larger game. I think it would be great for a smaller Tin series game, but in a larger game, it seemed to be too much. I also felt like I was trying to make something much different from Ironhelm, but as I was designing UnderQuest, I sort of felt pulled to the roots of Ironhelm, so what direction am I going? I truly love Ironhelm, and I love the community that has grown around it. I love creating content for Ironhelm as well. All of this made me realize that I should truly focus UnderQuest into being a real spiritual successor to Ironhelm. Ironhelm is great, but it definitely has a few holes in the design, and I want to address those all with Ironhelm 2.0, aka UnderQuest. Here are a few of the things I want to fix or make better. And I'll just chime in here real quick and say, I'm so excited about this. You guys obviously know how much I love Ironhelm. That's where my channel started. That's where it has returned to recently. And thank you guys so much for all your positive feedback on the recent Ironhelm playthroughs. So I am so excited for this because I have mentioned several times, as much as I love Ironhelm, it's one of my absolute favorite games. There are a couple of things in it, obviously, with anything, nothing's going to be perfect, that you're like, I kind of wish that this could be better or that could be changed. And it looks like Jason is well aware, and he has worked to address those things in UnderQuest. So he goes on to say, the rulebook. It is no secret that the rulebook for Ironhelm is far from perfect. Some of that was due to the size limitation of the medium booklet I used. I could only have 20 pages, and I needed more. I also immediately negated to include some important rules. It was not a terrible effort, but I want the booklet for UnderQuest to feel complete, and I want it to be easy to navigate. So that's something to look forward to. We're going to get a more fleshed out, in-depth rulebook with UnderQuest. Jason goes on to say, morality. Now this is a big one, guys, because you guys know whenever I play UnderQuest, whenever I play Ironhelm, I'm like, just pick the negative outcome. There's no reason to ever pick the positive morality. I suppose unless if you're playing with like the Howling Abyss deck and you've got the Archangel card. But anyway, let's see what Jason has to say about the issue of morality. He says, the morality tracker in Ironhelm was simply there and not used very often, at least not in the base game. I attempted to address this with the Howling Abyss Dungeon Booster Pack. That set of dungeon cards did a good job of fixing the issue, but I want a cleaner and more meaningful system in place from day one. Morality will be handled via favor points, much like I used in Tinhelm. You will gain them by defeating certain enemies or by making good moral choices during play. You will be able to use these favor points in many ways, including reading runestones to learn new skills, to re-roll dice, and certain dungeon cards and encounters will be affected by your current level on the favor tracker. I simply want it much more integral to the design. That is awesome. I am super stoked about that because I think it's a really cool mechanic. I think it's a really neat idea. Unfortunately, it just wasn't executed probably nearly to the degree that Jason had hoped for in Ironhelm. And of course, you can't fault him. Again, nothing is ever perfect. Hindsight is 2020, and it's hard to tell how a game mechanic is going to turn out until hundreds of people have played your game dozens and dozens of times. So really cool that he's aware of it, and he's worked to address that in UnderQuest. Moving on, he says, exploration. UnderQuest will use the exploration system used in Ironhelm rather than the one I was attempting to use before that was more similar to the one used in Tinhelm. There will of course be some twists. I am working on a cool system to making enemies more difficult if drawn as the second card that does not rely on simply adding X number of health or damage output to the foe. I am excited to share this in the future. So that sounds really cool. And by the way, guys, we're going to get into all of these cards. There's a bunch of images of all the enemies and all that stuff. We're going to get into that in this video, but I want to kind of preface it with Jason's thoughts on the game, just so we know what we're getting ourselves into once we move into that part of the video. He goes on to talk about the plot cards and the encounter cards. The plot card system used in Ironhelm will be replaced with an encounter system. Encounters will work a lot like plot cards did in Ironhelm, but in UnderQuest, encounters could be all sorts of things, including a simple story with a choice to be made, an encounter requiring a skill check, a trap, an enemy, or even finding a character to join you on your adventure. These cards will have a timer mechanic built into them that will trigger the end of the game, much like the plot cards from Ironhelm. Cool. So it just sounds like an even more interesting, dynamic set of plot cards, basically, where it's not just, mainly like text and then you get some icons toward finding the boss. This sounds like it's going to be a bunch of different things. Almost like how in the Beast and Burdens pack in Ironhelm it added in some boss encounters. It looks like you can get similar things where it can be an enemy or traps, or it might require a skill check, or you might find a character to join you. So that sounds really, really interesting. Then he goes on to talk about the quests and campaigns. So this is pretty cool. There's going to be quests, apparently. So one of the biggest hitches in the development of UnderQuest before was the idea of a campaign mode. I have come up with a simple solution. If you want to play UnderQuest as a one-off roguelike experience, then you will simply use the encounter deck while playing. If you want a campaign vibe, you will be able to use a new quest deck. These cards will work much like the encounter cards, except they will be numbered in order on their backs. In this way, a narrative story can unfold. You may find special items or weapons, have to fight unique foes, or any number of surprises. My issue with this when working on UnderQuest before was trying to figure out how to both make random encounters and have there be a quest/campaign system. The new idea is to allow the player to decide what they want. Do you want to play with the randomness of the encounter deck, or do you want to use a more campaign, story-focused deck like the quest deck? There would of course be a simple quest deck in the base game, and then I could release new ones over time for players who like to play that way. For those that prefer a more roguelike experience, I will introduce new decks to add to the existing encounter deck. That sounds amazing, guys. So, sounds like you can do one-off adventures, or you can go on an extended quest, and it sounds like Jason already has it in his mind to add expansions to the game. So, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because UnderQuest hasn't even released yet, but the game is ripe for expansions, much like Ironhelm, and it's very cool to hear Jason speaking about having that in mind, that he can release expansions for the game. Then he mentions the art direction. He says, I want UnderQuest to harken back to old school nostalgic artwork from the late 70s D&D era, sort of like Ironhelm attempted to do. Dude, I love that. That's so cool. Just as an aside, that's one of the things that drew me to Ironhelm so much was that art style. It was like very nostalgic to me. So yeah, I am all for that. I'm super glad that he went that route. And guys, wait till you see the art on these cards. It is beautiful. The artwork is insanely good. Jason is such a fantastic artist. Yeah, wait till you see these cards, guys. He said, I also want to push an almost medieval engraving feeling with my line work. Something like the work of Albrecht Dürer. I am sorry if I am butchering that artist's name. Lastly, I want the art to have an almost tarot-like feel to it. Dude, I love that. I have got 5 tarot decks sitting on my desk right now as I read this. That is so cool to me. Something mysterious with strange symbols and odd flavors. Above you, you can see the development of the card backs. So on the website, he showed like the development of the card backs. I'll probably put up an image of that on the screen right now. And then he says, as you can see, I am using full color and trying to make the game feel almost from another time and place. Then he goes on to say that UnderQuest will have a limited open game license. So he's got OGL, I imagine that stands for open game license, which will allow folks to create new enemies, quests, encounters, and more for the UnderQuest system. That is insanely cool. Ironhelm has a strong following from some very talented and creative folks, and I want UnderQuest to take that to the next level. I am excited to see what people come up with. Well, that is about all I have for now. UnderQuest is indeed still being worked on, and now I have a much more focused vision for it. The aim is a spiritual successor to Ironhelm that addresses some of these issues with Ironhelm while adding a fresh new layer to it. Stay tuned. That was back on February 11th of 2024, and we're in August of 2025 as I make this video, guys. So this has been in the making for over a year now. This is going to be so cool, man. So we're going to start diving in to each of the different types of cards here. And we're going to go over some of Jason's thoughts, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on the cards as well, guys. So let's hop into it. All right, guys, let's dive into the card types in UnderQuest. I'm once again going to pull from Jason's website, greygnome.com, and we're going to kind of go down the line, and I'm going to show you each of the card types. I'm going to give you his thoughts on it first, and then we're going to look at those cards in detail, and I'll give you my thoughts on it, and we'll check out what some of the cards do. It's going to be awesome, guys. So here we go. He says, I wanted to discuss each of the 15 types of card decks that you will find in UnderQuest. 15 types of card decks. That is crazy. I will not go into a lot of depth, but I'm going to. Jason says he's not going to, but I'm going to do that in the video, guys. But will instead try to give a clear understanding of the function each deck serves. So, the first one up is Abominations. This deck will be used to increase the difficulty of an enemy. It will be split down the middle with a prefix side and a suffix side. Certain events, like drawing a combat card as the second card during exploration, will cause you to have to either add a prefix or suffix to the enemy. In rare cases, you will battle a mini-boss, and that will simply have you add both. You just tuck the unused side of the Abomination card under the enemy card. Both sides will add a whole host of things to the enemy, like immunities to certain attacks, extra health, magical attacks, and more. So instead of a simple goblin, you might face off against the mini-boss that is a fire goblin of Skull, and he might add fire damage to his attacks and have the ability to heal himself. That is freaking amazing, dudes. That is so cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to check out some of these Abomination cards here. So straight from the Grey Gnome website, it says UnderQuest will include a 10-card Abominations deck. This deck will be used to augment standard enemy cards and make the foe deadlier. In most cases, you will only be adding the prefix, the left portion, to the enemy cards, but in the case of the Exalted Foe Dungeon card, you will have to add both the prefix from one card and the suffix from another card. This essentially creates a mini-boss. The prefix side refers to a description of the enemy. Are they physically stronger or faster, or are they undead or have elemental power? The suffix side refers to which spiritual plane they are aligned with. This will boost the enemy in many powerful ways, as you can see below. With 18 enemy cards and 10 Abomination cards from the number of combinations for enemies is virtually endless. Let's take a look at a couple examples of an Abomination card. Here we have two examples of Abomination cards. On the left of each card is the prefix portion of the card, and this is added to an enemy card, often when you get into combat after drawing the second card in the dungeon deck on your turn. In rare occasions, you will also have to add the right suffix portion of the card as well. You will never be asked to add the suffix portion without the prefix portion. The prefix side always adds a bonus power, but also a weakness to the enemy. Both the prefix and suffix sides add bonus treasure if the enemy is defeated. This feeds into the idea of the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Let's take a look at an enemy that has had just the prefix added to it. So as you can see here, we've got this Kafer. I'm assuming this is Kafer. It looks like a big beetle, and it's a stout Kafer. Jason says, here we have a relatively average enemy in the Kafer. This fellow has a chance of hitting you a fire attack at the beginning of combat and can poison you if they successfully hit. He does have some good defense as well. Now add the stout prefix and he becomes a bit more beefy, potentially adding 6 health. Extra health in combination with a strong defense make this guy a pretty tough foe. With 18 enemy cards in the base game and 10 Abomination cards, you have a total of 180 potential combos. Now let's look at some mini bosses. So you see here, we've got the prefix side and the suffix side. So it says here we have a fairly weak goblin that has been elevated to a mini boss that is not so weak anymore. He gains the d6 extra health from the stout prefix and gains 1 defense from the suffix side. He will also add 2 fire damage to all successful hits. On the plus side, his 6 initiative drops to 4. Maybe not the scariest mini-boss, but definitely puts him up there with some of the stronger base enemies. Now let's use the same 2 prefixes and suffixes on a stronger base enemy to create a formidable mini-boss. So we've got the Stout Wraith of Galnock. It says, this gal is quite terrifying. She already has the ability to heal every time she successfully hits, and now she starts out with extra health and defense. Successful hits also deal 2 fire damage. Now, this is not something you want to tangle with. Let's look at another example. Here we have an Unholy Orc of Norsha. This is an undead orc that is weak to both fire and holy damage, which could prove useful for us. However, you will be gaining a curse token and taking 2 ice damage every time he hits. He is also immune to ice damage, but that likely is not a huge deal. Now let's use the same 2 abomination cards and swap out the enemy with one that really becomes an issue. The Unholy Shade of Norsha is a prime example of how the certain abomination cards work really well with certain enemy cards to create some boss level enemies. The absolute scariest part about this guy is that you gain 2 curse tokens every time this foe successfully hits, along with 2 ice damage. Unholy make him weak to holy attacks, but he was already weak to holy attacks, so there is no real gain there for you. He is also now immune to all ice damage. Let us not forget that the Shade has an initiative of 8, which means he is likely striking first. Yikes. Thanks for taking the time to learn about the Abomination deck. I'm very excited with how this simple 10-card deck has the ability to take 18 enemies and make hundreds of potential foes out of them. Stay tuned, there is more to come, Jason says. So there you can see a more in-depth look at how the Abomination cards are going to work. Amazing, guys. There are apparently 180 different unique combinations of cards, and they can even turn into these crazy strong mini bosses here. So very, very cool stuff with the Abomination cards. Now we're going to move on to the next type of card, and that is going to be the Dungeon deck. So it says, this deck will work much like the Dungeon deck in Ironhelm with a couple of twists, and at the time he said there are more details to come. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the Dungeon deck, and the first thing I want to look at here is the back of the Dungeon deck. Look at the card back here, guys. Look at the artwork. It is insane. I don't know what Jason, okay, first of all, the artwork in Ironhelm is awesome, but I don't know what he did. Did he go live in a cave in between Ironhelm and UnderQuest and level up his art skills 10 times? Dude, this is insane. Like I said, Ironhelm looks amazing. This looks ridiculous. This is so good, dude. I'm blown away. I absolutely love the art style. It is fantastic, dude. Jason knocked it out of the park. It looks amazing. So that is the card back for the Dungeon deck right there. Really cool with the skull hanging on the staff and the little potion down at the bottom of the door. The vines growing on the wall. There's even 2 little red rat eyes or something probably peeking out of a little hole up in the top left. There's so much little details and stuff on the card. Really, really cool. So that is what the back of the card is going to look like. And now we're going to check out some of the actual Dungeon cards here. So let's go ahead and get those images up on screen. As you can see, this is the full Dungeon deck right here. This is the entire 18-card Dungeon deck. And much like in Ironhelm, you're going to be flipping these cards over. I would imagine you'd lie down 2 of them, and then you would choose one. And if you want to push your luck, you'd flip over the other one. You'd have to deal with the second part of the card. As you can see, there's a 1 and 2 on a lot of these cards. So I'm sure it's going to work very similarly to Ironhelm. So let's look at these in a little bit more detail. There's a bunch of these that he shared. So the first one right here, we've got Ambush. It actually looks like there's 2 different ambushes, and there's something else to note too about these cards that you guys might notice. They have these semicircular symbols, icons that make up a part of the artwork on the left and right side of the artwork, and it looks like you can join those symbols up, like with the 2 ambushes here that create that little green tree symbol in the center. And that reminds me of Tin Realm, right? There's a mechanic like that in Tin Realm. So I must be honest, I'm not entirely sure what those symbols are going to do. But yeah, those are going to, I guess, play some sort of part in the game. You might make some sort of tableau or something as you're going through. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting. And yeah, as you can see, you've got like a 1 where it says you catch your foe by surprise and gain the upper hand. And it says draw an enemy card, add the dungeon level to their health. You get to attack first. Very similar to the ambush from Ironhelm. And then if you flip into it, if you push your luck into it as the second one, it says your foe catches you by surprise and gains the upper hand. Draw an enemy card and add the dungeon level to their health. Draw an abomination card and add the prefix to this enemy. The enemy attacks first. So that is really, really interesting that you're gonna augment the enemies with these abomination cards now, rather than just adding health to them or adding attack to them. Very, very interesting. So yeah, you've got a couple of ambushes right there. And just at first glance, it looks like these are the same. Yeah, I think these are actually the same. There's some different flavor text at the bottom. The blue one on the left says ascending. I look down, my eyes translate. And the one on the right says my own corpse, my inescapable fate. But other than that, they look the same, I guess, aside from their little symbols. Those little semicircular symbols are different on those. But yeah, cool stuff. So that is the new ambush card. You've got the treasure chest card here where you can gain a trinket as the first option. You can gain a treasure card and an ingredient and a trinket as the second option if you push your luck. And of course, we're going to go over the ingredients and trinket cards in just a little bit. So you've got a treasure chest making its way back into the dungeon deck, similar to Ironhelm. Then we've got the false idol. This is kind of like, this kind of reminds me of the false idol from the Howling Abyss deck from Ironhelm. So it says, standing before you is an ominous statue of an ancient lord of the abyss. It is begging to be worshipped. What shall you do? Choose one. So you could beg for power, you could beg for health, or you can ignore it. And that's going to affect where you move on the morality track. You can gain grit and treasure. You can gain health and a ration. Or you can move up one space on the morality track if you decide to ignore it. So very similar to the idol, the false idol from the Howling Abyss deck, rather, from Ironhelm. So cool stuff. So you'll see that there's some consistencies between the game, but then there's going to be a bunch of new stuff too. The merchant is making his way back. It even has the same flavor text. It looks like deep in the dungeon seems like a strange place to set up shop, but who are you to question his sanity? Take any number of the following actions. So let's see how the merchant has changed, if at all. It says buy. To see the merchant's stock, draw 2 treasure and 3 ingredients cards. Okay, so unlike in Ironhelm, it depends on what level of the dungeon you're on. It looks like the merchant in UnderQuest, you're just going to have 2 treasure and 3 ingredient cards to look at no matter what level of the dungeon you're on. So that's pretty neat. I do like that. And then you could sell stuff to him. The merchant will buy any treasure or trapping card for 1 gold, and he'll also pay 1 gold for any 2 ingredients. So very similar to Ironhelm. Cool stuff. So the merchant has made his way back. Moving on, we've got a couple of cards here. We've got the Labyrinth and the Archangel. Let's see if the Labyrinth is the same as it was in Ironhelm. It says, surely your cunning will see you out of this wizard's maze. Sounds pretty similar so far. Discard 1 ration. If you have no rations, lose 3 health. And then you gain 1 gold. So this is much like the Labyrinth card in the Howling Abyss deck. And then, as the second ability, Drat, you cannot seem to find your way out. You discard 2 rations and lose 3 health for each ration you cannot discard. And you gain 1 ingredient. So very similar, but updated to fit with UnderQuest and the new ingredient card. So you'll also gain an ingredient if you push your luck. Then we've got the Archangel card. As far as I know, this is new, unless this is supposed to be like the Angel card from the Howling Abyss deck from Ironhelm. And it might be. It says you are blinded by a flash of light that quickly fades. After your eyes adjust, you are startled to see the form of a beautiful woman with large wings. She has been sent to judge your deeds. Yeah, this sounds kind of familiar. It says if you have positive morality, you gain health equal to your placement on the morality tracker. And if your morality is in the negative, you lose health equal to your placement on the morality tracker. So yeah, very similar. Also brings morality more into focus and makes that more of an important metric to keep track of. So if you want to go, the evil route and always choose the bad way, like you should in Ironhelm, it might not pay off with this card here with the Archangel and UnderQuest. Moving on from that, we've got the altar. So a lot of these cards seem very similar to Ironhelm. It says, sometimes the sanctuary is found in the least expected place. You kneel at the altar and pray for blank. Even the flavor text is carried over. You can pray for healing. You can restore health or remove poison equal to your place on the morality tracker. That's cool. So rather than rolling dice, you're taking it out of the hands of of pure chance, and it's tied to your decisions that put you on a certain place on the morality track, either positive or negative on the morality track. You could pray for peace and remove curse tokens equal to your place on the morality track. So curse tokens is a new mechanic. And then we've got, you could pray for favor and move up one place on the morality track and gain 1 grit. So that's cool. That's cool. That's very different than the altar from Ironhelm. And you'll notice the omission of blessing tokens. So I'm assuming there are no blessing tokens anymore, but now there are curse tokens that you can remove. So that's cool. That's something. Then we've got the campsite. We got to have a campsite in the dungeon deck. You have found a relatively quiet spot to set up camp, but you shouldn't linger for too long. Pick one action below. So that flavor text has been altered a little. You can cook. You spend one ration to gain D6 minus D6 grit. And as far as I'm aware, grit is essentially energy. Like in Ironhelm, you have energy. That word has just been changed out and swapped out with the word grit. So instead of energy, now you have grit. So you can cook to spend one ration to gain D6 minus D6 grit. That's cool. You can rest to spend one ration to gain D6 health and remove 1 poison. Or you could search to gain a ration and roll a D6 to see what else you find. If you roll a 1 or a 2, you'll find 1 gold. If you roll a 3 or 4, you'll find a trinket. And a 5 or a 6 will net you 1 ingredient. That is very cool, dude. That is very, very cool. So once again, similar, but updated to incorporate the new cards and mechanics from UnderQuest. Then we've got the Mushroom Cave and the Exalted Foe. Let's check these out real quick. We've got the Mushroom Cave. It says if you choose this as the first card, you have stumbled upon a grove of young mushrooms. You'll either gain some poison, gain a ration, or gain 2 rations depending on your roll. And if you push your luck into it, you find yourself standing in a grove of mature mushrooms. And you'll gain either 1, 2, or 3 rations. That is amazing. That is really, really good. And then on the right here, we've got the Exalted Foe. Dude, that artwork is sick. That is so cool. The same on the Mushroom Cave. All the artwork is amazing. The Exalted Foe says, before you stands a formidable foe and there is no escape. You draw an enemy card and add the dungeon level to their health. In addition, draw 2 abomination cards. Apply the prefix from the first card drawn and the suffix from the second card drawn to the enemy. This card must be resolved if revealed. That is cool. So that's like the little mini boss that Jason was talking about in his post on his website. Apparently that's how you get it from, or one of the ways at least that we know of that you get it is if you draw this Exalted Foe card. And again, it says this card must be resolved if revealed. So I guess even if this is the first card you reveal, you must resolve it. Yikes. That's brutal. That's really, really brutal. That's going to make pushing your luck super scary because you could technically go through the dungeon deck. And if you don't push your luck into this card, you might never see it. Very, very scary, but very cool too. Because again, if you defeat the enemy, you're going to get some extra rewards for it because each of the prefix and suffix abomination cards are going to give you more loot. So really cool, dude. Oh my God. I'm getting so excited, guys. I'm getting so pumped. Okay. We're going to keep moving through. We've got a skirmish, the good old skirmish. This is the first card I draw every time in a playthrough of Ironhelm on my channel. If you do it as the first one, it says you draw your weapon and square off against your foe. Draw an enemy card and add the dungeon level to their health. And if you push into it as the second card, you are taken off guard and stumble for your weapon. You're going to draw an enemy card, add the dungeon level to their health. And in addition, you draw an abomination card and apply the prefix to the enemy. So that's another way to augment the enemies with those abomination cards with the skirmish. So very interesting. Very, very cool. Awesome. And that is it, guys. That is all of the info and images that I've got for the dungeon deck that I could find that Jason released. It looks incredible. It looks amazing. It looks like it's kind of a combination of new stuff from UnderQuest, sort of mixed with like the Howling Abyss cards from the Howling Abyss dungeon deck. So I know there's a bunch of you guys that prefer the Howling Abyss deck. So rejoice, guys. It looks like you're going to be getting a lot of stuff from that deck, making its way over into the dungeon deck here in UnderQuest. So there it is. Cool. We're going to move on from the dungeon deck and we're going to go over to the bosses. So Jason mentions very briefly on his greygnome.com website about the bosses. This is exactly what it sounds like. This deck will house a few bosses for you to deal with at game's end. So simple enough. Not too much to say about that. It's bosses. And there is an image for the bosses here that we're going to check out, guys. And man, these bosses are stunning. Also, I will say too, like I mentioned earlier, the game is ripe for expansions. I'm sure, I don't want to say I'm sure, but fingers crossed, I hope, that there will be even more bosses in future expansions. And while I am excited that there are bosses in the game, and this is a minor gripe, this is a minor gripe, I am 99.9% positive and excited about the game. Okay, guys? So don't get me wrong, but I'm human and I feel like it's always like, oh, I wish there was more. I wish there were more than 3 bosses, but it is cool that we've got some bosses in the game, and it's staying with the spirit of Ironhelm, right? Ironhelm, the base game, came with 3 bosses, so I get it, but it would have been cool to maybe get like a couple more. But this is cool. This is still going to be amazing. There's so much content in the game, and I definitely don't want to put a damper on it. I'm excited for it. It's going to be amazing, and I just want more of it. And I'm sure we'll get more of it down the line. Jason has put a ton of time into this. So yeah, the 3 bosses that we're getting are incredible. We've got the Ash Worm, as you can see right here. And the Ash Worm, it looks like he's going to be weak to ice. So if you look on the left side of the card, I'm gonna do my best to kind of go over what I think all of these icons are here. So we've got the health up at the top, obviously. And then we've got what I'm imagining is an attack number. As that second number, that's how much damage it's going to inflict. Then it looks like it's got a sort of like toughness or defense number there with the shield, an amount of gold that it's going to award you. And then I'd imagine the symbol at the bottom is probably similar to how it works in Ironhelm, where that is how much or what type of damage this boss is weak to, or the enemy is weak to. That's my assumption. That is my assumption. It could turn out to be different, but I think that's how that's going to work. Then down below, we got a little text box that says, before combat, make an agility check, and if you fail, gain 2 poison. I think it's really cool that there are like skill checks in the game now. It kind of reminds me of D&D. So it gives me that really nostalgic vibe. And then it says, when the Ash Worm successfully hits, you take 3 additional fire damage. So he's a fire enemy. This is apparently the fire type enemy of the base set of UnderQuest, and that makes sense why he would be weak to ice right there. And then down in the bottom left, there are 4 little icons. And you know what, guys? I'm not 100% what those are. Maybe Jason will get into more detail with the enemies as we move forward and the mystery will be solved, but I'm not sure what those are. And I did know at one point because I've been keeping up with this stuff and I forgot. Maybe I should have done a little bit more research before I record the video, but I was too excited. So we're going to find out what those are. I think it might be like experience points or something, skill points, something like that. And then it shows the initiative of the enemy, 7 initiative. And I would imagine that determines its place in combat, whether or not it gets to attack first or second. So very cool. That's the Ash Worm boss. Then we've got the Heart Thief. Also, a quick little mention, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. Like I said, we're going to go into a lot of detail. So this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy video, I'm sure, as you've seen by the timestamp. But I don't want to just glaze over everything. I want to really get into this, guys. So let's keep diving in. We've got the Heart Thief here. It looks like she's got even more health than the Ash Worm. Wow, she has more health than even the Death Warden. She's got the most health of all of the bosses. 3 attack, looks like 2 defense. And then there's like a little asterisk symbol over the gold. So I'm not 100% what that is for. I don't know how much gold you're going to get from those enemies, if any at all. Maybe it says something in the rule book about it. And then you've got, oh, you know what it might be too? There are treasure cards we're going to look at. It might have something to do with that. And then it looks like she is also weak to ice. And it says, before combat, you make a brawn check. And if you fail, you lose 2 grit. And when the Heart Thief successfully hits, take 3 additional ice damage. So she is apparently the ice type boss right there. She's got 4 of those little icons down in the bottom left. That's the official term. Not really. And then she's got 5 initiative. So she is the slowest of the bosses, but she makes up for it with her high health there. Cool stuff. And then the final one, my personal favorite of the 3, once again, rocking the Skeletor colors, the faded purple and light blue, is the Death Warden. He's got 14 health, so he's sat right between the health of the Ash Worm and the Heart Thief. Looks like he does 4 attacks, so he's the strongest of all of them. He's got 2 defense, and then it looks like he is weak to undead stuff, which is interesting because he himself is undead. It says, before combat, make a mind check, and if you fail, you gain 1 scourge. And we're going to check out the scourges in a little bit. They kind of work like afflictions do in Ironhelm, from what I can tell. So yeah, if you fail that mind check, he's going to cast a scourge on you. He's going to get inside your head. And then it says, when the Death Warden successfully hits, He heals D6 health. That is cool. That is really cool, man. He like drains your life, dude. Very, very cool. Kind of reminds me of the Lich boss from Iron Helm, but rather draining your energy. He's healing himself. He's got 4 of the little icons down there, and then he's got 6 initiative. So sitting in between the Ashworm and Heart Thief with 6 initiative. So those are the 3 bosses, guys. Incredible stuff. They look absolutely amazing. The artwork is amazing. I'm very intrigued and very interested to see what it's going to feel like to play against each of these bosses. And I will mention too, I'm not entirely sure how you're going to determine which of these 3 bosses you fight against in the game, because in Iron Helm, there is a boss for each that's weak to each type, fire, ice, and undead. And here, there are 2 that are weak to ice and 1 that's weak to undead. So I don't know if maybe this is an error or an old version of a card. I don't know if maybe the Heart Thief is supposed to be weak to fire since she is an ice boss. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that got resolved. Maybe that'll get changed. But if it works the same way it does in Iron Helm, I would imagine it's however many of each type of enemy you've defeated and have in your graveyard, that is the boss that you would fight at the end of the game. So if you beat, the majority of the enemies that you killed were undead, then you'd probably fight the Death Warden. Again, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm sure we'll find out, soon enough. When the game releases, we'll find out. All of that will be revealed. So moving on from the bosses, we've got the enemies deck, dudes. This deck will include all the standard enemies in the game with the addition of the Abominations deck. There will be countless enemy combinations that you may have to deal with. If you fight an enemy as the first card, you simply battle the base enemy card. But if it is the second card, you will have to add a prefix from the Abomination deck. This replaces the mechanic in Iron Helm that simply added more health to the foe or made them hit a little harder with their initial attack. Now we're going to actually check out the enemies, guys. And here they are in all of their freaking glory. Look at them, dudes. They're beautiful. 18 enemies. 18 enemies are going to be in the base game of UnderQuest. So cool, dude. And the artwork, amazing. The artwork is absolutely incredible. You can see all of them here, all 18 of them bunched up here. But we're going to check out some of them in more detail, guys. So let's dive into some of these. First up, we got the Wolf, guys. Making his way all the way over from the dungeons of Iron Helm, we've got the Wolf. He is looking really cool. He's got red eyes. The art is just amazing. And then same thing. We've got some health on the right. Looks like he's got 5 health. He does 1 damage. He's got 0 toughness or defense. And then we've got a C inside of that coin right there. Now, I'm going to bring up an image here in just a moment that's going to show essentially like a treasure table. And this treasure table is going to show what type of treasure you're going to get depending on what letter is in the little coin on the cards. That's going to show you what type of treasure you're going to get from the enemies. So as you can see here in this image, on level 1 of the dungeon, if you get an A in the little coin, it'll say type A, you would get 1 ration and 1 gold or 1 treasure. If it's got a B in the coin, that's type B, you'd get 1 trinket or 1 ingredient. And then type C, you would get 1 ration or 1 gold. And that's just level 1. Then on level 2, you get different stuff. On level 3, you get different stuff. Level 4, level 5, you'll get different things for each of those treasure types on each level. It looks like you get increasing rewards. So let's say we look at type A on level 1, 1 ration and 1 gold or 1 treasure. And then look all the way down at level 5, type A, 3 ingredients or 1 treasure and 2 gold. So it's completely different. Also, it then says there's a 6th card that says, time was your real enemy. You have failed your quest. So you've got 5 levels to get through the dungeon, just like in Iron Helm. And if you fail to reach the boss by the end of the 5th level, well, you ran out of time and you lose the game. So that is what that C is for inside of the coin for the Wolf. It's type C treasure, which I think is so cool. Very, very neat way of doing that. It's going to make the treasure feel just more interesting, especially because there are 3 different treasure types and they're different for each of the 5 levels that you're on. Very, very cool way of doing it. Very dynamic. And then it looks like this wolf is weak to undead attacks, if I'm interpreting that correctly. And it says if the wolf misses during combat, they may re-roll 1 time. You may avoid a battle with a wolf by discarding 1 ration. So very similar to how that works in Iron Helm. So there is the wolf, guys. It is looking fantastic. Super cool. We're going to move on to the next enemy here. We've got the Wraith. Dude, the Wraith looks sick. It might be my favorite art. It is so freaking cool, man. The Wraith says that before combat, you make a mind check, and if you fail, you gain 1 curse token, and when the Wraith successfully hits, she heals D6 health. Yikes, dude. That is crazy. It's like the boss. It's like the boss, so she can heal herself whenever she successfully hits you. She's pretty quick with the 6 initiative, 8 health, 1 extra attack. She's got 2 defense, and she's got a treasure class A, and it looks like she is weak to undead attacks, or unholy attacks, undead attacks, either one. Then moving on from that, we've got a couple of guys here. We got a couple of baddies. We've got a skeleton and an orc. Kind of like how the orc, he looks like a pig man, sort of. That's pretty interesting. The skeleton, it says that before combat, you make a mind check, and if you fail, you gain 1 curse token. And it says when the skeleton successfully hits, you take an additional 2 ice damage. Whoa. That is crazy, dude. That's crazy. At least he's kind of slow with 5 initiative, so you might get the jump on him, which is cool. And then the orc says that if your attack misses against an orc, their next hit deals 3 extra damage. Oof, you do not want to miss against an orc. You may avoid a battle with an orc by discarding 2 trinkets / gold. Nice. Okay, so you could bribe the orc. That's very cool. You could bribe the orc with a couple of trinkets or gold to get past them. Once again, the art, incredible on all of these cards. The next couple of cards we got a couple of eyeball enemies here. We got the spider, which you might recognize from Gate. And we've also got, and was the spider in Tin Helm? Ooh, it's been so long since I've played. I think so. And then we've got the Flyclops also, which is from Gate, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like both these guys are weak to ice, which is very interesting. The spider says, before combat, make an agility check. And if you fail, you gain 1 icon. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Now, the way icons work in Iron Helm is that gets you closer to the boss. But this almost sounds like it's bad, because it says if you fail, you gain 1 icon. So, ooh, okay, a bit of a mystery there. I'm intrigued to know how that's going to work. And then it says if the spider misses during combat, you gain 1 grit. Oh, that sounds good. And then for the Flyclops, when the Flyclop successfully hits, you take an additional 2 fire damage. Ouch. And it says you may avoid a battle with a Flyclops by discarding 1 ration. So similar to the wolf, you can discard a ration. So cool stuff, guys. There's the spider and the Flyclops. Let's check out the next few enemies here. We've got the Balakor. Dude, that is such a cool name, and that art is sick, dude. He's like a Cyclops, like, goat man. That is crazy, dude. The Balakor. He's weak to fire. It says when the Balakor successfully hits, you take an additional 3 ice damage, and if your attack misses against the Balakor, you lose 1 grit. Then we've got the Consuming Mass. Oh man, the Consuming Mass has come back, but rather than looking like a gelatinous cube, he looks like some crazy, like, cosmic space horror monster. It says if your attack misses against the Consuming Mass, your hand weapon is devoured and must be discarded. Oh man. Okay, Jason figured out that having to roll 3 1s in an attack is probably never going to happen, so now it's just if you miss. It devours your hand weapon? That is brutal. Oh my god, this enemy sucks. This enemy is going to be so, and when I say it sucks, like, I mean, it is going to be so difficult, guys. Oh man, I can already tell this is going to be my most feared and hated enemy in the enemy deck, unless there's something even gnarlier. Oh man, the Consuming Mass. Why? Why, Jason? And then next up, look at this art, dude. So sick. The Doom Skull. I love that vibrant red art. So cool. It says if the Doom Skull misses during combat, it will explode, dealing 5 fire damage, and discard this card and gain 0 treasure experience. That's so cool, dude. So it's like flying toward you, this Doom Skull just blasting toward you. It's on fire. And if it misses during combat, it'll just explode and deal 5 fire damage to you. That is crazy, dude. It's got 8 initiative too, so it's got a high likelihood of that happening. That is crazy. Also, I'm noticing it's got a D here on the coin, but there was only A, B, and C. So some of these images might be a little dated. So yeah, everything that you're seeing in this video obviously is subject to change. We won't know 100% for certain what these cards are going to be until they release, but this is generally what it's going to be. But there might be, a few little tweaks and changes here and there that Jason makes. So I'm not sure what the D is for. Yeah, very intriguing. Not sure about that. And then next up, we've got the Goblin. It says, if the goblin misses during combat, you gain 1 grit. And it says you may avoid a battle with the goblin by discarding 1 trinket. So pretty easy. He's weak to fire. Also, he also has a D on his little coin there for his treasure. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. The artwork is very cool. He's got like a little wooden buckler and a dagger. Very cool. And then moving on, we got a few more enemies here that we could take a look at. We didn't have any single images of these that I could find, but we've got them all kind of grouped up. We'll go ahead and take a look at these. We've got the serpent up in the top left. It says, before combat, you make an agility check, and if you fail, you gain 1 poison. There are so many skill checks. This is really cool. When the serpent successfully hits, you gain 1 poison. Okay, so this is like the skinkling, like flying snake type situation of UnderQuest. He's a little poison guy. To the right of him, we've got the white. That is cool. Dude, that is crazy looking. That's gnarly looking. It says, before combat, make a mind check, and if you fail, you lose 1 grit. And when the white successfully hits, you lose 1 grit. Jeez. Okay, so this dude's just going to wear you down. He's going to drain your energy. Also, I'm noticing there's an F right there on his treasure type. So what do I know, guys? And, you know, like I said, we're checking out all of this stuff for UnderQuest, all the stuff that Jason has released so far. But, you know, if something is different in the final version, don't come back here blasting me in the comments too hard, guys. We're just going over, you know, the information that we currently have. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the F treasure class is, but anyway. And then to the right of that, in the top right, we've got a trawler. It's like the Fishman from Ironhelm. It even says the Fishman. It doesn't even say the trawler. That's funny. It says the Fishman. I would imagine that should say the trawler is immune to holy damage. Gain 1 ration if you defeat the Fishman. Fish yummy. Okay, it is literally the Fishman. It's the Fishman from Ironhelm. He's just been changed to the trawler. Interesting. I lobby for him to be called the Fishman. That's cool though. Okay, in the bottom left, we got the Wood Hag. Let's go. That is cool. Before combat, make a brawn check. If you fail, lose 1 grit. Man, a lot of these guys drain your grit. That's crazy. It says when the Wood Hag successfully hits, she heals 2 health. Okay, very cool. I love that artwork. I like how she has like twigs and stuff sticking off of her like cloak there, her gown. Very cool. And then in the bottom middle, to the right of the Wood Hag, we've got the Troll. If your attack misses against the Troll, they will heal 3 health. You may avoid a battle with the Troll by discarding 3 trinkets. Damn, it's got a boatload of health with 9 health too. Yikes, guys. Weak to fire. Cool. Very cool artwork there. And then, last but not least, if I'm not mistaken, guys, we've got the Skelipede here. This is also from, I want to say this is from Tin Helm, the Skelipede. It says, before combat, you make a mind check, and if you fail, you gain 1 curse token. If the Skelipede misses during combat, you gain 1 grit. So another way to gain curse tokens right there, but also a way to gain grit. So there are a bunch of enemies that make you lose grit. It's good to know that there are some enemies that will also replenish your grit right there. So there it is, guys. That is a closer look at all of the enemies. There are, it looks like there's maybe a couple more that we didn't see. If we take a look at the 18 cards here, there's the Shade, which, can we zoom in close enough to see? Yeah, I can just barely see. Let's see if we can see this. It says, before combat, make a mind check. And if you fail, you take 3 ice damage. And when the Shade successfully hits, you gain 1 curse token. Yikes. Okay, so another way to gain curse tokens. And then last but not least, we've got the Kafer. It says, before combat, make an agility check. And if you fail, you take 3 fire damage. And when the Kafer successfully hits, you gain 1 poison. So another way to gain poison. It's like a big poisonous beetle. There it is, guys. That's all 18 of the enemies in UnderQuest. Amazing. Cannot be more excited for them. Very varied types of enemies. All of their agility checks or their skill checks rather are different. They give you different rewards, different penalties. Some of them curse you, some of them poison you, steal your grit, all kinds of different stuff. Really, really cool wide array of enemies there. Awesome stuff. And the next card type we have, guys, are incantations. So UnderQuest will have magic. Incantations will come from 4 schools of magic, including fire, ice, holy, and healing. You will have a number of these incantations memorized at the beginning of the adventure. You will spend a required amount of grit, the new form of energy, to cast them, and then they are flipped over and cannot be used again until you meditate at the campsite. These are one-time use cards and quite powerful, but you can relearn them during your adventure at the campsite. In order to use incantations, you will also need a required skill card, plus each incantation will require a different rank in your mind stat to even use it. Certain classes will start with the skill to cast incantations. Any adventurer will be able to learn the skill down the road by spending favor, but they must remember that the best incantations require a high mind stat. Cool. So we could see here there are going to be 12 incantations in the game. Now, Jason mentioned in that post that there were going to be 4 different types of incantations. He mentioned fire, ice, holy, and healing. I think he may have changed his mind on that. It looks like there are now ice, fire, and holy, if I'm not mistaken. So with the ice incantations at the top, we've got ice arrows, blizzard, freeze, and ice wall. Let's go ahead and check each of those out. So for ice arrows, it says you deal ice damage to an enemy equal to double your mind skill. That is crazy. Or you may slow your enemy by lowering their initiative by a sum equal to your mind skill. Dude, that is awesome. That is really powerful. Then we've got blizzard. Deal ice damage to an enemy equal to double your mind skill plus 2. Dude, that is sick. I'm also noticing too, at the top right of the card, on the artwork, it looks like it shows how much grit you need to spend, I imagine, in order to use that incantation. So that's pretty neat. It's got a cost linked to it. I would imagine that's what that's for. Then we've got the freeze incantation. Cast to skip an enemy's turn to attack. Very cool. Or you may avoid a combat with an enemy that is weak to ice and has 7 or less base health. You gain 0 experience or treasure when you avoid an enemy. Cool. So if you could just freeze them solid and skip them. And then last but not least, for the ice incantations, you've got ice wall. Avoid all fire damage from an enemy for the entire combat except bosses. Very, very cool, man. And then next up, we've got looks like the fire incantations here. We've got magic lantern, fireball, flame ward, and guiding light. So magic lantern says, when cast, you may reveal both dungeon cards and choose one to resolve. Both cards should be considered as the first card drawn when resolving. Or you may avoid a combat with an enemy that is weak to fire and has 5 or less base health. You gain 0 experience or treasure when you avoid an enemy. And then you've got fireball. Deal fire damage to an enemy equal to double your mind skill plus 2. So that is very similar to blizzard right above it, except you're dealing fire damage rather than ice damage. And then next up, we've got Flame Ward. Avoid all ice damage from an enemy for the entire combat except bosses. So once again, Flame Ward seems very similar to Ice Wall, except you're ignoring fire or ignoring ice damage in this case. And then last but not least, we've got Guiding Light. You may draw 2 encounter cards instead of 1 and choose which one to resolve, which that's kind of like the lantern from Ironhelm, right? Or you may avoid a combat with an enemy that is weak to fire and has 7 or less base health. You gain 0 experience or treasure when you avoid an enemy. Cool stuff. So that one's kind of similar to Freeze, that second ability right there. And then last but not least, the bottom 4 cards, it looks like are the holy cards, I would imagine. I assume that it was undead with that little skull, but maybe this is actually holy. Maybe this is holy damage. It says Mending, I guess we're about to find out. It says Mending Light, Banish, Faith, and Healing Rain. Or maybe this is healing. Maybe he kind of wrapped up holy and healing all into one thing. So Mending Light says, restore health equal to your mind skill plus 1. Whoa, that's freaking awesome, dude. It's like a health potion. That's amazing. Or you may avoid combat with an undead enemy that has 5 or less base health. You gain 0 experience or treasure when you avoid an enemy. Cool. Then we got Banish. When cast, an undead enemy will flee, excluding bosses and exalted foes. You gain 0 experience or treasure when you avoid an enemy. Or deal holy damage to an enemy equal to double your mind skill plus 1. Yeah, okay, so there is holy damage as well. So that's kind of wrapped up. It's like healing and holy combined. Then we've got Faith. The Faith incantation says, remove 1 scourge or curse equal to your mind skill. Ooh, that is good. And then it says, or create holy bread, which acts as 1 ration of food. Oh, that is very useful. Wow, very good. And then the final holy incantation is Healing Rain. Remove poison equal to your mind skill. Whoa. Or restore health equal to double your mind skill. Oh my goodness, guys. That is crazy. That is sick, dude. That is amazing. So it sounds like you're going to be able to like wield magical spells in addition to having all your gear and your skills and all that kind of stuff. You're going to have spells as well that you can cast. So there it is, guys. Those are the 12 incantations that are going to be included in the base game of UnderQuest. And the next type of card we have are ingredients. While you may find some prepared potions in your travels, you are much more likely to find ingredients which can be combined to create a host of effects such as healing, curing poison, generating grit, or more. So there's going to essentially be like an alchemy mechanic in UnderQuest where you're going to be able to combine different ingredients together. So let's take a look at what Jason says about this on his website. He says, "Let's make goblin toe salad. I want to discuss how the alchemy system works in the upcoming UnderQuest. My goal was to create a crafting system that allows the players to really make decisions as to exactly what sort of potions they want to make. Below is an example of 2 ingredient cards. Let's take a look at exactly how this system works. So here we have the nether cabbage and goblin's toe ingredients. You will notice some symbols and text on these cards that may not make sense at first glance, but I hope to clear it all up for you. To craft a potion, you need at least 2 ingredients. All ingredients have 3 rows of symbols, and these symbols tell us what effects each ingredient offers. The nether cabbage has 3 heart symbols. Each one heals 1 health on the top row. A mushroom symbol provides 1 food in the middle row, and a cross symbol cures 1 curse on the bottom row. The goblin's toe has a diamond symbol, which is gain 1 grit on the top row, 2 heart symbols in the middle row, and a drop symbol cures 1 poison on the bottom row. In the top left corner of each card, you will see the ingredient's difficulty to use value. The nether cabbage has a value of 2, while the goblin's toe has a value of 1. Lastly, at the bottom of each card, we have the risks and rewards of using each ingredient. So how does this all work? The first thing you'll do is place both cards side by side so that the 3 rows line up. You will look to see if any of the symbols match up on any of the given rows. In the case of these 2 ingredients, they do not. But you notice that if you pushed the goblin's toe card up 1 slot so that its middle row lined up with the top row of the nether cabbage, that you would have created a row of 5 hearts. That would heal 5 health if successfully crafted. You're able to shift cards in this way, but at a cost. Each time you shift a card up or down, you must increase the total difficulty of crafting by 1 point. Using these 2 ingredients have a total of 3 difficulty if you add the 2 cards together, but since we had to shift the rows 1 slot, that difficulty becomes 4. Now it's time to attempt to craft this potion. You simply roll a d6 and you add your mind stat, and if you meet or exceed the difficulty value, then you successfully craft the potion and immediately gain 5 health and discard both cards. However, you could craft an exquisite version of the potion if you happen to roll a natural 6. In this case, you can choose one of the rewards shown on the ingredients being used. In the case of these 2 ingredients, we could either keep one of the ingredients instead of discarding it, or we could gain a bonus 1 grit. Good job. But what if we fail? If you roll and the sum of your roll and mind stat are below the value of 4 to craft this particular potion, you fail. You must discard both cards, but before you do that, you must suffer a risk for having failed. Simply flip both ingredients over and shuffle and pick one at random. You must suffer the risk indicated on this card. In this case, you might gain 1 poison or perhaps 1 curse token. Lastly, there will be a host of skills that your adventurer may learn that will help you craft potions more effectively and even allow you to use more than 2 ingredients. So guys, I don't know about you, but I cannot be any more excited. This sounds freaking amazing, dude. What a cool, interesting, and unique way to introduce potions into the game. There's alchemy. You can literally make your own potions, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at all of the ingredients right here, guys. So as you can see, we got the beautiful card back up in the top left and bottom right for the ingredients, and then we've got all of the different ingredients right there. It looks like there are 16 unique ingredients here. We've got the cavern zolia, which is a type of mushroom. We've got the dusk beetle, fresh blood, goblin's toe, which we just looked at, the harpy fig. There's a human bone, a lizard foot, a mermaid's tongue. This is like stuff that like a witch would like throw into a cauldron to make a potion. Ogre's toenail, dude, it literally is. This is crazy. A serpent's eye, a skinkling's heart. Oh, the skinkling made a return, guys, but it's just his heart that you're gonna make a potion out of with the skinkling's heart. Nether cabbage, the thistle bloom, unicorn horn, wisp essence, and witch fennel. How freaking cool is that, guys? And as mentioned in Jason's post, these little ingredients here will be concocted, alchemized into a potion, and they can give you grit, they can give you food, they can heal you, they can rid you of poison. Very, very cool, man. That is so cool. That is such a cool way to do a potion mechanic rather than just having like static potions that do one thing. This is so interesting. And then you can move the ingredients up and down to try to link up, the different symbols so that you can make these different potions, but then it increases the difficulty of the potion making process. And so cool, dude. So cool. That adds like a whole other like little mini game into the game right there. So very, very cool stuff. That is the ingredients card type right there. And next up, we've got quest cards. These cards are earned in particular ways. Maybe you find all 3 parts of a sword and then are able to grab the indicated quest card and actually wield that weapon. Maybe you find a companion or pet along the way. Story elements like this will be handled with the quest deck. I have story-driven campaigns in the works that will have their own quest deck, and that will be numbered, and you will work your way through the deck as the story unfolds. When playing the standard version of the game, you will be asked to read from the Random Encounters book, but in campaign mode, you will instead work your way through a special quest deck in order. So that's what Jason says on his website about the quest cards. Again, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to make its way into the game in that form. He mentions a quest deck. I haven't seen any images of a quest deck or anything like that, but there are some images of quest cards that we could check out. But I do want to say that would be kind of interesting if there was actually like a quest deck. It sounds interesting, but Jason has another more recent post on his website that he talks about questing, and he says, questing through UnderQuest. Today, we will be discussing the all-new quest system that will be used in UnderQuest. Unlike Ironhelm, in which you simply worked your way through the dungeon deck until you revealed enough icons to trigger the boss fight, UnderQuest tackles this task from a more narrative-driven angle. Let's dive into exactly how this works. So maybe Jason will go into more detail here, guys, and answer our burning questions. So he says, UnderQuest uses a quest token system. Quest tokens are gained in a few ways during play. 1, you can gain one by connecting 2 dungeon cards together in your dungeon tableau that complete an icon. When you do this, you gain the matching quest token. Or you can also gain a quest token during a random encounter. These quest tokens are then spent to progress through the quest deck. Let's talk about the quest deck. The quest deck is actually made up of 6 smaller decks. Whoa. Okay. Each of these smaller decks represents a phase of your adventure and are numbered 1 through 6 on their backside. During game setup, you randomly select one card from each of these decks without looking at them, and then stack them in order with the card from the 6th phase on the bottom. You will then reveal the top card and you are ready to start your adventure. I've got the biggest smile on my face right now, guys. It's just hitting me like how different each playthrough is going to be. Oh, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm speechless, dude. It's going to be so good. He goes on to say, each card has an upper narrative portion that sets up the scene. In the middle, you will find the 3 quest tokens you must locate and then spend to unlock the lower portion of the card. The lower portion includes the phase of the adventure and sometimes offers special loot, healing, or perhaps a companion to join your mission. So cool. He goes on to say, the core game will come with 3 cards in each of the 6 phases for a total of 18 cards. Having a random card pulled for each phase creates a new story every time. In fact, with just 18 cards, you manage to have over 700 possible pathways through your quest's story. This creates a very high replay level for the game. I also plan on releasing quest packs in the future that will add 1 card from each phase. So if we go from 3 cards in each of the 6 decks to 4 cards, we increase the possible story paths from 729 combinations to 4,096. The plan is to add many of these decks over time, which should translate into almost an endless number of unique adventures. I am pretty excited about this system as it will allow there to be a story that drives the game, and when you combine this with the random encounter deck and other mechanics in the game like the alchemy system, you should have a unique adventure every time you open up the box. I am excited to share more about UnderQuest as it develops. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out, Jason says. Dude, thank you. That sounds ridiculous, guys. That sounds so good. Oh my goodness, dudes. I'm speechless. I am speechless. So over 700 right out of the gate, and he's already planning on adding more to the game. And just adding one to each of the 6 decks is going to bump it up to over 4,000 different paths or different, possibilities. That is just crazy. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at a few of the quest cards that Jason has shared so far. From what I've seen, this is what he shared the least of, which is actually kind of cool. So the sort of narrative part of the story, we're probably not going to find out more about until the game actually releases, which I'm cool with. That's cool with me. But we'll check out the 6 of them that he's shared so far. So let's go ahead and look at these guys. The first one here says, "Speak to Godfrey." It says your adventure, and you know what? I'm not going to read through all of these. I might pause it, and if you guys, or rather you guys can pause it. If you want to pause it and read over these yourself, you're welcome to, but I'm just going to read the first one here. Otherwise, this video is literally going to be like 8 hours long. But yeah, and I kind of want to keep some of this sort of secret. I haven't even like read all of these, so I'm just going to check out the first one. But again, if you guys want to read the other ones, feel free to do so. It says, "Speak to Godfrey. Your adventure begins with the need to seek out the old monk Godfrey. He is said to know of a location that may be a key to your quest. Rumor has it that there is a small deserted chapel not too far into the Black Mountains. That is the likely place to unite with him." So cool, very intriguing. And then there's a few symbols there on the middle of the card. I guess those are the quest tokens that you need. Oh, it's all coming together, guys. On the dungeon deck cards, you have to link the symbols up. This must be what you have to do. You've got to link up these 3 different unique symbols in order to move it to the bottom part of the card. It says, "After a bit of turmoil, you finally find Godfrey kneeling before an altar in an old chapel. He seems happy to see a friendly face, and the 2 of you have a long chat over a bowl of stew. Gain 1 grit. After your meal and conversation, you know where you must travel to next. You may place 1 trinket at the altar as an offering, and this will gain you 2 health." Dude, I'm blown away, guys. What a cool mechanic. What a cool mechanic. That's got to be what it is, dude. We're putting the pieces of the puzzle together here. That's got to be what it is as you make your way through the dungeon deck and you form those icons by matching up the symbols. Dude, that's so cool. What an interesting way to do it. That's so much more interesting than just getting icons from plot cards, which there's nothing wrong with. It's an elegant solution, but this is so much more interesting. Dudes, that's so cool. Again, if you want to pause and you want to read the rest of them, feel free to do it. I'm just going to read that one. That is so cool, guys. That is amazing. So that's the quest mechanic for UnderQuest. Incredible, incredible stuff. Okay, let's move on to the next card type. The next type of cards we're going to check out here are actually a few different ones because they kind of all go together. There are race cards, class cards, and familiar cards. So you're going to use these cards to essentially build your character. So we're going to check out what Jason says about creating a character in UnderQuest. He says, "I thought it would be a good idea to explain exactly how you go about creating a character in UnderQuest." I concur. I think that's a great idea, Jason. "Building your adventure at the beginning of your journey requires you to make 3 important choices. You must pick a race, a class, and a familiar." Let's take a look as to how this works. And after we see what Jason has to say here, we're going to check out all of the races, classes, and familiars in detail. He says there are 6 races, 6 classes, and 6 familiars to choose from. The race and classes share opposite sides of the same card, meaning that you cannot be both the race and class from a single card at the same time. So, just as a quick note here, I get it. Like, that is cool, I guess. At the same time, I kind of wish that would have changed. Maybe that's like one thing that I think could have maybe changed. And I don't know, maybe it's like that for a reason. Maybe he likes that you can't be like a certain class and a certain race, but I do kind of wish that maybe would have been different. Maybe if like the cards were doubled up where you had all the races, like a race on one side and a race on the other side, and same thing with the classes. That way you could be, even more combinations. But to be fair, guys, there's going to be so many combinations of classes and races that it's not that big of a deal. But I'm not really sure why you would have like a restriction like that. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for it. But anyways, he goes on to say, this is an older idea that he's going to explain it. "This is an older idea that I borrowed from old computer role-playing games where certain races could not be certain classes. I simply like the concept. You can, however, choose any of the 6 familiars you like. So in the base game, you'll have 180 combos to explore." So there you go. Jason he just likes the concept. He likes that certain classes, or certain races can't be a certain class. And I get it. That's cool. But like he says, you can choose from any of the 6 familiars. for a total of 180 combos to explore, guys. So you can be 180 different characters in UnderQuest. He says, let's take a look at the character we have built above, the Kromori Herbalist with a Moon Rabbit Familiar. That just sounds so cool. Each of the 3 cards help to determine your starting/max health. And so 8 plus 3 plus 2 is 13. That's your starting max health. Also, you configure your starting and max grit, which is the purple star icon. 6 plus 3 plus 1 equals 10 starting max grit. Grit is similar to energy in my other designs. So like I mentioned earlier, grit just replaces energy. Same mechanic, essentially, but instead of energy, it's called grit. Jason goes on to say, now we shall look at each card individually to see how they make your character come to life. The race card also determines your starting encumbrance. This is obviously important for being able to carry more items in your inventory. The Kromori has a pretty low encumbrance, meaning you will have to balance carefully what you keep in your inventory. You will see that each race card has a special ability. In the case of the Kromori, you gain +1 to all mind checks. There are a lot of mind checks in the game, so this is quite nice. He also starts with Murlac's Tonic, which is a potion that cures poison based on your brawn stat. This character only has 1 brawn, so not a very helpful starting item, but could be sold to the merchant. This should be Mizlac. This should be Mizlac's Tonic, dude. Anyway, he says, lastly, and most importantly, your race card tells us your starting stats, agility, brawn, and mind. In this case, the Kromori has 2 agility, 1 brawn, and 2 mind. Now let's look at the class card. In addition to the health and grit buffs that we discussed earlier, your class will determine your starting trinkets, similar to gold and iron helm, and your starting rations. The herbalist starts with 3 trinkets and 2 rations, which is above average. Trinkets are used to barter for items with merchants at the Lonely Troll Inn before and in between adventures. Rations are consumed between dungeon levels and can be spent in a few other ways during your adventure, like for feeding wolves so they don't attack you. In the middle of the class card, you will see 3 attack icons with values in them. Above each of those, a small grit icon. This tells us how many bonus damage we can inflict in combat when we spend the corresponding amount of grit. The herbalist is not an offensive powerhouse. Below that, you will see your starting skill. In this case, it is fittingly the herbalism skill, which will make you better at crafting potions right out of the gate. Lastly, the class card tells us our skill proficiency. We gain experience during the game that we can trade in to learn new skills. It is always easier to learn a skill that falls into your skill proficiency. You can learn skills outside of your proficiency, but it will cost you more experience. So it's very similar to Iron Helm, it sounds like. He goes on to say, the last card we have to examine is the familiar card. This is a mystically creature. It's a mystical creature that is always nearby protecting you. They give you a minor buff to your starting/max health and grit, and they also set your starting placement on the morality tracker. Your familiar will influence your choices in regards to morality by offering you a perk for doing what they like. In the case of the Moon Rabbit, you can either have your health healed for 1, or you can remove 1 poison every time you move up on the morality tracker. You are being rewarded for being a good person. There are, however, evil familiars that do the opposite. Your familiar will give you a bonus item at the start of the game as well. The Moon Rabbit gives you an ingredient, which is fitting for the herbalist. Lastly, they give you a stat bonus, which is very powerful. The Moon Rabbit gives you a bonus to agility, meaning your final starting stats are as follows: 3 agility, 1 brawn, and 2 mind. So what we end up with is a truly unique adventure with some nice strengths and some clear weaknesses. Our Kromori Herbalist and his Moon Rabbit will be challenged if equipped with a brawn-based weapon, struggle with decisions as to what items to drop and which to keep, and will generally have issues in combat with a lower health and lower damage output. On the plus side, he will do well with mind checks, can be armed with an agility-based weapon and succeed, and has above-average grit, which will help in many ways. Each character you create will be similar in that they will have strengths and weaknesses, and this will ultimately determine your strategies during play. That's so cool. I'm not going to stop saying that after everything. That sounds so cool, guys. That is such an interesting way of creating a character. Not just having a race and a class, but also having like a little familiar, a little companion that comes along with you. That is super, super cool. So I want to go ahead and actually look a little bit more in depth at the races here. So there are going to be 6 races in UnderQuest, and we're going to check them out right now, guys. So we've got this image here of the 6 different races. I'm gonna try to pronounce these to the best of my ability, because some of these sound just like made up words that Jason made up. So we've got the Aquana, which looks like a sort of like merfolk fishman kind of guy. It says his special ability Gain 1 bonus health and 1 bonus grit when you resolve the altar. Okay, that's cool. And the trapping he starts with is the mysterious key, and it says agility 1, brawn 2, and mind 2. So those are his stats down there. And then we've got 9 health on him, 5 grit, and he can hold up to 11 weight worth of items. Next up, we've got the Crawling. So the Crawling is coming back here. He's got 11 health, 5 grit. He can hold up to 9 weight. His special ability is +1 to all agility checks. Whoa, that is sick, dude. And then his trapping is the Crude Sling, and he's got 2 agility, 1 brawn, and 2 mind. Next up, we've got the Yorny. I like how these are like really unique too. Like these races are really unique. This is cool. He's got 12 health, 4 grit, and he can hold up to 12. Holy moly, dude. He's like the dwarf from Ironhelm. His special ability says, gain 1 bonus health and 1 bonus grit when you resolve the treasure chest. Yeah, dude, he's like the dwarf. That's cool. Ooh, I like that. And then his trapping is Godfrey's Spirits. He's got 1 agility, 2 brawn, and 2 mind. Very cool. Next up, we've got the Seldoran. I think it's Seldoran. 10 HP. 5 grit, can hold up to 10 worth of weight, 10 items, or 10 weight worth of items rather. The special ability is the cost of learning a new skill is reduced by 1. Ooh, that sounds good. The trapping they start with is the Bitter Remedy. They've got 2 agility, 2 brawn, and 1 mind. Next up, we've got the Kermori, who we just looked at in the example that Jason gave us. He's got 8 health, 6 grit. Holy moly. And he can hold 8 items, or 8 weight worth of items. His special ability is +1 to all mind checks. Really good. And his trapping is Murlax Tonic. I wish that was Mizlax Tonic. And it says he's got 2 agility, 1 brawn, and 2 mind. And then next up, we've got the Norshan. I imagine it's pronounced Norshan. That guy looks super cool. The blue skin. He's like an ice, like Nord guy. Dude, that's freaking cool. A Norshan. He's got 10 health, 6 grit, and he can hold up to 8 weight worth of items. His special ability says, whenever you successfully deal damage in combat, add 1 ice damage to your attack. Yeah, he's like an ice guy. That's cool. Trapping, the Rusty Dagger. He's got 2 agility, 2 brawn, and 1 mind. So those are the 6 races right there. Very unique, very different. They each have their own special ability, their own starting trapping, and their own set of little stats there with agility, brawn, and mind, and then different starting health, starting grit, and how much weight they can hold. Awesome, dude. Awesome. So all of those are super different from one another. That's going to make a very interesting 1/3 of your character right there. And then next up, we've got the classes. So there are 6 different classes as well. These will be on the flip sides of those races. You've got the Conjurer. It's going to add 2 HP, 3 grit to your character. It's going to give you 3 gold to start with and 1 ration. If you spend 1 grit, you're going to add 2 to your damage. 2 grit will give you 4 damage, and 3 grit will give you 6 damage. That seems pretty good. And then it starts with the skill Wizardry. So that's the skill you're going to start with. And the skill proficiency is Mind if you are a Conjurer. I love the artwork too. Reminds me of the new class cards that Jason added in Ironhelm, where there's like a little like altar with all your different little items on it that resemble that class. Really, really cool. So you got like a little spell book, looks like almost like a sacrificial dagger there, some salt, a scroll. Yeah, all kinds of little conjurer stuff. Really neat. Next up, the next class we have is the Scoundrel. It's going to give you 4 extra health, 2 extra grit. You're going to start with 4 coins because you're a scoundrel, dude. You're like a thief. You start with a lot of money. You start with 1 ration. If you spend 1 grit, you do 3 damage. 2 grit will give you 4 damage, and 3 will give you 6. So a little bit stronger than the Conjurer. And the skill you start with is Shadow, because you're sneaking around in the shadows like the scoundrel that you are. And your skill proficiency is Agility. You got to be agile if you're going to be thieving around. Next up, you got the Ranger. It's going to give you 3 extra health, 3 extra grit. You're going to start with 2 gold and 2 rations. 1 grit will do 2 extra damage, deal 2 extra damage. 2 grit will deal 4 extra damage, and 3 grit's going to deal 7 extra damage. Dang, dude. That's awesome. That's the highest damage output we've seen so far. The skill you start with is Marksman, of course, because you're a ranger, you got your bow, and your skill proficiency is Agility, much like the Scoundrel. Next up, on the bottom left, we got the Bastion. I'm assuming this is sort of like a warrior type character. You start with 5 health, 2 grit, 3 gold, and 1 ration. 1 grit will add 3 damage. 2 grit will add 5 damage, and 3 grit will add 7 damage. My God, dude. Yeah, this character is like a warrior, like freaking beast character. That's crazy. The skill you start with is Guard, and your skill proficiency is Brawn, because you're a big tough guy, Brawn. Next up, we got Herbalist. You'll start with 3 extra health, 3 extra grit. You start with 3 gold and 2 rations. This is the one that Jason used in the example. 1 grit will add 2 damage, 2 grit will add 4 damage, and 3 grit will add 6 damage to your attack. The skill you start with is Herbalism, and your skill proficiency is Mind. And last but not least, the Savage. Oh, man. Okay, we already had a warrior guy. Is this like even more of a warrior guy? The Savage. Look at that club with the spikes on it, dude. Crazy. You start with 4 extra health, 3 extra grit. You start with 2 gold and 1 ration. 1 grit does 2 damage, 2 grit does 5 damage, and 3 grit does 8 damage. Dang, dude. So that's the most damage you could do. That's crazy. The skill you start with is Rage. That's cool. And your skill proficiency is Brawn. Dude, so good. So those are all of the classes right there that you can add with your starting race. Very, very cool. And then finally, there's one last piece of the puzzle here, and that is the familiars. There are 6 different familiars that you could start with, and we're going to check those out right now. We've got the Cockeye. He's going to give you 1 extra health, 2 extra grit, and it looks like you get -1 morality, I think is what that is, down in the bottom left there. Whenever your morality moves down on the morality tracker, you gain 1 trinket. Okay, so this is like one of the evil ones right there. You start with a random trapping, and you get +1 to your mind skill. Next up, we got the Howl. That is cursed looking, dude. It looks like a fox and an owl combined. That is cool. It gives you 1 extra health, 1 extra grit, +1 to your morality. I'm assuming that's what the little gray icon is morality. Whenever your morality moves up on the morality tracker, you gain 1 ingredient. Okay, so this is one of the more, the more moral familiars you can get. You start with a ration, and you get +1 to your mind skill. Next, we got the Fink. For the Fink, it says that you get +2 health, +1 grit, and -1 to your morality. And whenever your morality moves down on the morality tracker, you may remove a curse token. Start with a random trapping and +1 to Brawn. Then you got the One-Eyed Toad. That is so cool. You start with 3 extra health. Holy moly. No extra grit though. +1 to your morality. And whenever your morality moves up on the morality tracker, you gain 1 ration. You start with a random trinket and +1 Brawn. And then you've got the Glider. Dude, that's cool. It starts with 1 health, 1 extra grit, and it gives you -1 morality. Whenever your morality moves down on the morality tracker, you gain 1 grit, and you start with a random trapping and +1 to your agility. And then finally, the Moon Rabbit, which we looked at, gives you +2 to your health, +1 grit, +1 to your morality. And whenever your morality moves up on the morality tracker, you may either gain a bonus 1 health or remove 1 poison. You start with a random ingredient and +1 agility. So that's cool. So there's 3 that help you if you move up in morality, and 3 that help you if you move down in morality. So it seems really cool, man. It seems like Jason definitely poured a lot more attention into the morality tracker here in UnderQuest. I'm excited for it, dude. It seems like it has definitely been given a lot more attention, and it's going to be much more interesting of a mechanic to interact with in the game, and your choices are going to be a lot more impactful. And it looks like you can go either direction with it if you want to go good or bad with it, depending on what familiar you get. So very cool. So those are the races, classes, and familiars that are going to create your character in UnderQuest. And again, there are a bunch of combos. There are 180 different combinations to explore. So we've got a lot ahead of us, guys. We got a lot of playthroughs and content ahead of us with those characters right there. So let's dive into the rest of the card types here. So next up, Jason mentions the Revelations deck. It says UnderQuest will use a resolution deck much like the one used in Dust Runner to determine many things like attack damage, bonus treasure, combat initiative, and more. And combat in UnderQuest will be a mix of many things I have used in the past, but it will feel completely fresh and challenging. Now, I haven't found any images of these Revelation cards, but I assume that the numbers on some of the enemies, like where it says the extra damage that the enemy would do, I think that you actually flip cards, that number of cards from the Revelation deck in order to see how much extra damage the enemy does. So I like that. I really personally actually prefer the resolution deck from Dust Runner to just rolling dice. I don't know. It's just cool how it's got like a bunch of different little, things that you can resolve there. So yeah, I think that's really, really cool. Other than the card back, I haven't seen any actual images of those cards, but that sounds like a really neat mechanic and something that I'm definitely personally really excited about. And next up, we've got Scourges. If you obtain enough curse or stress tokens, you may end up with a Scourge. These come in many forms, from the physical, clouded vision, shaking hands, etc., to the mental, overconfidence, greed, dire fear, etc., and will alter how you must deal with certain situations. And curing Scourges will also not be easy or cheap. So, as mentioned earlier, it's kind of like the Affliction cards from Iron Helm. But yeah, they're going to be called Scourges. So as you can see, there are going to be 8 different Scourges in the game, and we're going to check these out. So first up, we've got Amnesia. It says, like dead leaves falling from a tree, such are your memories. You feel like a void, like something important has simply slipped your mind. Use this card to cover up a skill card of your choice. You may not use this skill until the Scourge is removed. Yikes. We've also got Dread. It says, you are overcome with fear. Every noise, movement in the distance, or stiff breeze causes a shiver to run up your spine. Enemies always attack first in combat. So that's just a couple of those Scourge cards up close right there. But as you can see, there are going to be 8 Scourges in total in the game. That are going to do a bunch of different things. I remember reading these when Jason first released them. Was it Plagued that I was not crazy about? It says, Plagued says, you can feel a burn within your veins. Something with a dark malice seems to have made you its host. You feel weakened and uneasy. Immediately gain 1 poison. Whenever you gain poison in the future, you now gain an additional poison. That's not the one. That sounds gnarly, but that's not the one. I remember somebody in either in my Discord or on YouTube commented about one of these cards. Was it Enfeeblement? You feel older, you can no longer carry as much. I can't remember. There's one of these cards in here that someone like kind of joked about, like, oh, Game Night is not going to like this, but anyways, you know what, guys? We may as well check them all out. We're here, right? We're here. We're diving this deep. Let's just check them out. We've got Cockshore here. Your confidence has soared to new heights. You feel invincible. Your eyes wide. You continue forward with the hunger for conflict. If you draw a skirmish, exalted foe, rather, or ambush, you must resolve it. Oof, my God, that sounds horrible. Damn, dude, that card's really gnarly. Next, we got Corrupt. You suddenly feel compelled to not act in accordance with... Oh, it was this one. You suddenly feel compelled to not act in accordance with all moral code. The forces of chaos have now become your compass. Whenever you take an action that raises your morality on the tracker, you lose 1 grit and 1 health. I think it might have been that one. It was something to do with morality, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it was Righteous. Yeah, we're going to get to Righteous here in a second. It says if you're ever given the Righteous Scourge card, immediately discard both cards and lose their effects. Next up, there's Enfeeblement. You feel older than you did, but just a few moments ago. Your muscles are sore and you have an aching deep within your bones. You can no longer carry as much as you used to. Subtract 2 from your encumbrance. Remove any items from your inventory if necessary to meet this new threshold. Oof. Then we got Gluttony. Your stomach aches for more food. No matter how much you eat, you still feel a deep hunger within. You simply cannot control this inner thirst. At the end of each level, you must consume 2 rations instead of 1. You must also take the cook action when you resolve the campsite. That is brutal, guys. And then we checked out Plagued. And then the final one, I think this was the one. Righteous. You suddenly feel compelled, yeah, this is it, to act in accordance with all moral code that is both good and fair to yourself and others. Whenever you take an action that lowers your morality on the tracker, you'll lose 1 grit and 1 health. If you ever gain the Corrupt Scourge card, immediately discard both cards and lose their effects. Yeah, so... Because everybody knows I always pick the negative side, the immoral actions in Iron Helm, because it's just the best thing to do in the game. There's no downside and there's only a benefit. But yeah, obviously here in UnderQuest, as we've seen, there's a lot more weight to your decisions here, your moral dilemmas that you face. So yeah, very cool. So those are the Scourge cards right there that are going to play into the new morality system in UnderQuest. Next up, we've got the skills. Skills will fall into 3 main categories based on the 3 character stats in the game, including agility, brawn, and mind. These will include many things like fleet-footed, sharp aim, berserk, sword master, fire incantations, and more. You will start with a skill or 2, but will be able to learn new skills by spending favor points that you will earn in many ways, but typically through combat. In Iron Helm, you traded in a number of enemies' corpses to gain a new skill. The issue was that some enemies are much stronger than others. In UnderQuest, you will gain favor in combat based on the difficulty of your foe. And guys, I think another puzzle piece has fallen into place. I'm pretty sure those little red star icons in the bottom left corner of the enemies is probably how much favor you gain in combat for defeating the foe. And I actually think that's brilliant because he's right. Not all foes are created equally. Some are much stronger than others, and you should be rewarded appropriately for those. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 18 skill cards that are going to be in UnderQuest. As you can see, we've got all of them laid out here in front of us, guys. All 18 skill cards right here. Amazing. The artwork on all of these is just incredible. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to look at some of these in more detail here. We're going to check out parry and guard first. So parry, it looks like it's maybe kind of similar to parry from Iron Helm. It says you have the elite reflexes and are able to deflect incoming attacks. You may attempt to deflect an enemy attack, taking 0 damage by spending 1 grit, rolling a d6 and adding your agility stat and referring to the chart below. Either your weapon breaks, nothing happens, or you block all damage. You may only use the skill once per combat. Parrying is not considered an agility check. I'm going to be honest, the weapon breaking thing, nah, dude. I'm not a fan of that. I'm going to end up trying out this skill, but that is just such a brutal downside, just losing your weapon. That is like super high risk. So parry has made its way back. I'm not a fan of it in Iron Helm. I haven't used it yet, obviously, because I haven't played UnderQuest. No one has, but I'm already not a fan of it. Let's see what we got in guard. It says, years on the battlefield have made you savvy with a shield. You may spend grit before an enemy attacks in an attempt to lessen the damage you take. For each grit spent, you subtract 2 damage from your foe's attack. The amount of grit you may use cannot exceed your base brawn stat. You may only use this skill if you are equipped with a shield. So that's pretty cool. You could spend grit before an enemy attacks to lessen the damage you take. It's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think I like that one a little bit more than parry, just on the face of it, but who knows? And then next up, we've got fire magic and ooh, Sixth Sense is back. Oh man, I can't wait to see what that does. So fire magic, let's start with that one first. It says, you have spent many hours buried in books, unlocking deep knowledge, giving you the power to control the element of fire. Gain the ability to cast all fire magic incantations. Okay, so you need this spell, or this skill rather, as a prerequisite to cast those 4 fire incantations that we looked at earlier. You're going to randomly draw 1 fire magic incantation to learn, and then look through the remaining fire magic incantations and choose a second one to learn. Holy, that is strong. Prerequisite, you must have the wizardry skill to learn this skill. And if I'm not mistaken, that was on the Conjurer, right? You have to have the Conjurer. Cool. But you could also learn the wizardry skill if you're another character, but I think the Conjurer just starts with it. So wow, very, very powerful. And then the Sixth Sense skill, you guys probably know by now if you're a fan of my channel, Sixth Sense is my favorite skill in Iron Helm. It is just hands down objectively the best skill in the game. Let's see if Jason kept it the same. When danger is afoot, you have a keen ability to sense it before it is too late. When the ambush dungeon card is drawn as the second card, you may spend 1 grit to attack first. Okay, so he neutered it, but honestly, it's a good thing because Sixth Sense in Iron Helm is broken. It's entirely too powerful. It is insanely good. So it keeps the spirit of Sixth Sense from Iron Helm, but brings it more in line with the other skills. At least I'm assuming. We haven't seen the rest of them yet, but I would imagine this is more in line with the skills. It's certainly more in line with the skills from UnderQuest. So when the ambushed dungeon card is drawn as the second card, you can spend that 1 grit to attack first. You're still going to have to deal with all the other ramifications of the card, but at least you get to attack first. And unlike Sixth Sense in Iron Helm, where you can either look at both dungeon cards and choose one, which is crazy. It's like the magic lamp, or it was like the magic ring item loot card in Iron Helm, where you can just skip an ambush. If you draw it as the first or second card, you're like, no, you just skip it. So in this case, the Sixth Sense doesn't help if you draw the ambush as the first card, only as the second, and you don't get to skip it. You still have to do it, but you get to attack first. So yeah, Sixth Sense has been knocked down a bunch of pegs. It's been knocked way, way down, but I think it's necessary. I think it needed to be. Also interesting to note that the guy in the image is wearing Skeletor's colors. It looks like Jason was a fan of the washed out purple and blue colors in here, and I think that's cool. I love that color combo there. Next up, we've got Appraise. Ooh, Appraise is coming back. Cool, man. Really cool artwork right there. She's checking out like an amethyst gem, it looks like. It says, time spent on the trade routes and dealing with the merchant caravans has given you a keen eye when placing value on a good. When buying from the merchant or back at the Lonely Troll Inn, you pay 1 less trinket for trappings and treasures at a 1 trinket minimum. And when selling ingredients to the merchant, he will pay you 1 trinket for each ingredient. Okay, cool. So looks like it's been themed a lot more to UnderQuest now that there are trappings now that there are trinkets in the game. Very cool. And that is a mind skill right there. Next up, we got a couple more. We got ice magic and cunning. Ice magic says you have spent many hours buried in books, unlocking deep knowledge, giving you the power to control the element of ice. So unlike fire magic, you're doing ice magic now. Gain the ability to cast all ice magic incantations. You randomly draw one ice magic incantation to learn, and then you look through the remaining ice magic incantations and you choose a second one to learn, just like fire magic, but with ice. And the prerequisite, of course, is you must have the wizardry skill to learn the skill. It's a mind skill, and again, if you play as the conjurer, you could use this. You could pick this. You're going to start with that wizardry skill, but you can go straight into ice magic or fire magic if you wanted to. And then we've got, of course, when you earn enough, I would imagine when you earn enough favor to learn it. I don't think you just get to start the game with it. You just start with wizardry from what I could tell. But anyway, then you've got cunning. You are a sponge when it comes to soaking up knowledge and are known to be quite clever. Whenever you are asked to perform a mind check, you may add 1 bonus point to your roll. That's good. When at the campsite, you are able to take a special reading action instead of taking another action. Doing so will gain you 1 experience. Oh, that's cool. Very, very cool. I like that. Okay, it's a cool skill. Another mind skill, cunning right there. Very cool artwork too. Beautiful artwork. I love that staff that she's holding. That is sick. It's like crumbled walls in the background. Awesome. Very awesome stuff. Next up, we've got might. Speaking of crumbled walls, there's some more crumbled walls in both of these, actually. Might is a bronze skill that says you were born larger and stronger than your peers, making you capable of remarkable feats. Whenever you were asked to perform a brawn check, you may add 1 bonus point to your roll. Whenever you successfully hit during combat with a brawn-based weapon, you may add 1 bonus damage. Oh, baby. Can you even imagine, dude? A savage with might? The savage class with might? Dude. That's going to be crazy, dude. Be dealing so much damage. Next up, we got the marksman agility skill, which is what the ranger starts with. When you lock in on a target, it is almost impossible for you to miss. I love this fishman face here. It's so cool. It says, if you miss in combat while using an agility-based weapon, you may re-roll your attack dice, but you must take the new result. I am so happy to see this because I got to admit, the ranger sort of archer classes and bow weapons in Ironhelm, they're not the best. They're okay, but I always found them to be a little weak. This skill is insane, dude. If you miss in combat while using agility-based weapons, you can re-roll. Insane. You got to take the new result, but still, dude, crazy. Very cool skill. Super happy to see that bows are going to get a big boost with this marksman skill, or just agility weapons in general. Next up, we've got Shadow. That artwork is beautiful. That is incredible. Wow. I love that art. That is so sick looking. It says stealth and a good amount of patience make you a terror in the darkness. If resolving the ambush card as the first card and you are equipped with a dagger in your primary hand, you may add d6 damage to your initial attack. Very thematic. If resolving the skirmish card as the first card and you are equipped with the dagger in your primary hand, you may add 1 damage to your initial attack. Very cool, man. Very cool agility skill. Then we got herbalism. Love the artwork in this too. Dude, look at the art. Look at everything in the background. Dude, I want to live there. That is awesome. That is so good. It says, time spent in books and out in the forest has made you insightful in the workings of flora. Whenever you are to draw an ingredient card, you may discard the first card drawn and redraw a new card, but you must take the new result. If you take the cook action at the campsite, you gain a bonus 1 health, and that is a mind skill. Very cool, man. So that's going to come in handy with the ingredients and making potions. You're going to be a master herbalist. Really, really cool. Next up, we've got wizardry. So this is the skill that I've mentioned a few times that what was it? Now I've already forgotten. My goldfish memory has struck again, guys. It's the conjurer. That's what it is. The conjurer is going to start with the wizardry skill. Above all else, you desire to pursue knowledge, especially knowledge that is fantastical in nature. Gain the ability to cast all level 1 incantations. Prerequisite to learn the skills fire magic, ice magic, and holy magic, and it is a mind skill. So of course, in order to learn fire, ice, or holy magic, this is the prerequisite. You have to have wizardry. Again, if you play as a conjurer, you're going to start with this skill. If you play as one of the other the other races, or other classes rather, you're going to have to learn this skill first and then learn fire, ice, or holy magic afterwards. So really cool. Really, really cool. I like there's like a prerequisite before you can learn those other skills and cast magic. You got to become a wizard first. Next up, we've got fortitude. And I believe that this is the last one, if I'm not mistaken. Fortitude says, You were born from a hardy stock and are able to persist in this cruel world. So this is also a skill in Ironhelm. Let's see if it's stayed the same or if it's changed. It says gain 1 bonus health whenever you consume a potion that restores health. Okay, that stayed the same. Remove 1 bonus poison whenever you rest at the campsite. Okay, that's a new addition. And you may spend 2 grit in an attempt to remove some poison. Make a brawn check. If you succeed, remove d6 minus d6 poison. Okay, cool. That's very cool. It's kind of taken the ability of the altar from Ironhelm and adding it into a skill that you have to spend grit on. Very cool, man. Very, very cool stuff. I like that skill right there. So I believe that was all. No, that's not all of them, guys. There's actually more. So we're going to go back to this big image here, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to read these because I've got to scroll in really far. Yeah, and some of these, the font is just too hard to read. Like we've got Counter-Strike here. We've got Alchemy. We've got Divinity. What else we've got? We've got... let's see. Is that all of them? No, we've got Nimble down on the bottom left. We've got Rage. Oh man, I want to know what Rage does. And it looks like that is it. But yeah, Jason didn't have any close-up images of those remaining skills right there. And like I say, when I zoom in, it is really hard for me to read. So if you guys want to try to decipher what that says and put it down in the comments below for us, be my guest. But yeah, there's a look at the majority of the skills right there. Amazing stuff, guys. Super, super hyped for that. They all seem really well balanced and very usable, which was maybe a small gripe that I had with some of the skills in Ironhelm being a little underwhelming, and just certain skills that you basically never choose, and then certain skills that you just always choose because they're so powerful. So only time and experience playing UnderQuest will tell, but just on the cover at first glance, on the face of it, it looks like a lot of those skills are really well balanced and well thought out. So super excited for the new skills. Next up, I'm going to briefly mention star signs. Jason says on his website, during character creation, you will choose a race and a class, but you also pick a star sign. These will add an additional layer to your character and make them that much more unique. I believe that this was probably turned into familiars, right? So star signs was a mechanic that Jason added in the Gnome Pack to Ironhelm, which is amazing. Very, very cool. But it looks like he took that concept and the mechanic has basically stayed the same. He added a little bit of things to it because now you get bonus health and bonus grit. But yeah, star signs have turned into familiars. So we've already gone over the familiars. So the next card type is trappings. These are items you can purchase before and in between adventures. They range from simple weapons or rations and tools. You may also obtain a trapping during an encounter during play, but typically they are bought from the trader at the inn. So this is probably going to work very similarly to the trappings in Ironhelm, right? You're going to have a pre-game sort of setup where you can buy some trappings, and then whenever you visit the inn, you'll be able to trade there too. And we can go ahead and take a look at the 14 trapping cards here, and also their neat card back. I like how it's got like the trader guy on the back of the card. That's pretty cool. So we've got the battered shield. We've got the bitter remedy, the bronze helm, the crude sling, the dull gladius, the fur cloak, Godfrey's spirits, mossy lantern, Murlax tonic. I'm going to call it Mizlax tonic, worn bedroll, spiked club, rusty dagger, oil of penitence. Is it penitence? And mysterious key. Ooh, interesting. So let's check these out, guys. We're diving deep. If you're still here at this point in the video, you are a champion, guys. Hit that like button down below. I really appreciate you guys being here. And again, for everybody that's, really wanting to dive deep into this, I'm sure you guys are appreciating it. And for those who want the more bite-sized video, well, they're already gone. So if you're still here, I appreciate you being here, guys. We're going to actually check all of this stuff out, dude. So the battered shield, it's worth 2 gold. It weighs 2. It's an offhand item. It says subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. If an enemy deals more than 5 damage in a single hit, this item is broken and must be discarded. Okay, cool. So it's kind of like the buckler from Ironhelm. Next, you got the bitter remedy. It weighs 1 gold, or it's worth 1 gold. It weighs 1. It's an accessory, and it says discard to restore 3 health and 1 grit. Roll a d6, and if the result is a 1, you gain 1 poison. That's cool. I like how there's like a potential downside to it, and it looks like an energy potion from Ironhelm. That's cool. Then we got the bronze helm. Not the iron helm, but the bronze helm. It's worth 3 gold. It weighs 2. It goes on your head. Subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. Whenever you take fire damage, you must take an additional 1 damage. Okay, so it gets really hot in there if you take the fire damage. Very cool, but it blocks 1 damage from all enemy attacks. And then we got the crude sling. It's worth 1 gold. It weighs 1. It's a two-handed weapon. And you may redraw initiative for combat. If your enemy gets the initiative on the redraw, they add 2 damage to their first attack. Interesting. Ooh. Okay. So some risk and reward there with that one. Then we got the dull gladius. It's worth 2 gold. It weighs 1. It's a primary hand weapon. And the dull gladius deals 1 extra damage to all successful hits. Ooh, that sounds good. I like that. That sounds good. And it's one-handed. Very good. Next, we got the fur cloak. It's worth 2 gold. It weighs 1, goes on your body, and it says reduce all ice damage you take by 2. Very cool. Very thematic. Godfrey's Spirits is worth 1 gold. It weighs 1. It's an accessory, and you discard it to restore 3 grit. You roll a d6, and if the result is a 1, you gain 1 curse token. Man, these potions are risky. Then we got a mossy lantern. That's cool. It's worth 2 gold, weighs 1. It's an offhand item. Once per dungeon level, you may reveal both dungeon cards and resolve one. Dude, it's the lamp. That's cool. Both cards should be considered as the first card drawn when resolving. That's awesome. So this is the magic lamp, dude. The lamp has come back, and damn, it's not even a loot card anymore. It's a trapping. Dude, that's super good. Whoa, that's powerful. This might be the best trapping. Holy. Okay, let's see what else we got. We got Murlax, Mislax Tonic. It's worth 1 gold. It weighs 1, and it's an accessory. Discard to remove poison tokens equal to the level of your bronze stat. Roll d6, and if the result is a 1, lose 1 health. Okay, interesting. So that's sort of like taking place of the poison antidote. Interesting. Then we've got a worn bedroll. It's worth 2 gold. It weighs 1. It's an accessory, and it says when taking the rest action at the campsite, you may either gain 1 extra health or remove 1 poison token. Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Then we got the spiked club. It's worth 2 gold. It weighs 2. And it's a primary hand weapon that says the spiked club deals 1 holy damage to all successful hits. Weird. Okay, that's very strange, but okay, very cool. I don't know what makes this weapon holy, but you know what? That's cool. Then we got the rusty dagger. It's worth 1 gold. It weighs 1. It's a primary hand weapon. Once per dungeon level, you may throw your dagger, inflicting 2d6 plus agility points of damage. You may only retrieve your dagger after the combat is over. That is sick. Dude, that is really cool. This is going to be a boss finisher right here, guys. You're going to throw the rusty dagger for the finish. Oh my goodness, that is sick. Holy okay. Dude, the mossy lantern's got some competition. Then we got Oil of Penitence. Is it supposed to be penitence? I don't know. It says Oil of Penitence. 2 gold, weighs 1. It's an accessory. Discard to remove curse tokens equal to your position on the morality tracker. Okay, cool. So a little potion that factors in your morality on the morality tracker, or your position on the morality tracker. And then finally, guys, we got the mysterious key. I'm very intrigued about this. It's very mysterious. It's worth 1 gold. It weighs 1, and it's an accessory. What does this thing do? Whenever you are asked to draw a treasure card, you may discard this card to draw 3 cards instead. Keep 1 card and discard the others. Damn, that is sick. That is really sick, dude. You're not opening 1 treasure chest. You're popping open 3 and choosing what you want. That is awesome. So those are all of the trapping cards right there. And again, they range from simple weapons to tools to rations. And yeah, as Jason said, you're going to obtain these during encounters and play, but typically they're bought from the trader at the end. So really, really cool stuff right there. And leading from the trappings, we're going to go into the treasure, guys. We're going to check out the treasure. Jason says, what is a dungeon crawl without treasure? This deck will include the majority of the best items and equipment in the game and can be found on the corpses of your foes, in chests, or maybe sold by a wandering merchant. Everybody loves loot, guys. Everybody loves loot. Check it out, dudes. 24 pieces of juicy loot right there, guys. We're going to check out this loot in more detail here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of this. We've got the Frost Ring. Look at this, dude. Look at this artwork. Absolutely incredible. It's worth 4 gold. It weighs 1. It's an accessory. Whenever you successfully deal damage, add 1 additional ice damage to your attack. Enemies must subtract 1 from their initiative. So sick. That artwork is beautiful. I want this ring. I want this ring. If someone is watching, make this ring and send it to me, please. That is, you guys know how much I love rings. That is sick. I want that ring. Oh my goodness. And then we've got the Amber Blade. It's worth 6 gold. It weighs 2. It's primary hand weapon. And it says the Amber Blade deals 3 fire damage to all successful hits. Okay, cool. So we got a fire weapon here, fire sword. Then we've got the Iron Helm. Let's go, dude. It's worth 4 gold. It weighs 1. It goes on your head. I don't know if you guys knew that, but helmets go on your head. Subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. Classic. Classic, dude. He kept it the same. Also, I'm noticing it says from attacks. There's no initial or counter attack lingo on the cards here like there was in Iron Helm, so it's just called attacks. Interesting to note. Then we got the scale armor. Oh baby, this is the best armor in Iron Helm. Let's see if it lives up to its old form. It's worth 5 gold. It weighs 3. It goes on your body. Subtract 2 damage from all enemy attacks. Wearing scale armor lowers your agility by 1. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. In Iron Helm, you can't use the conceal or shadow skill with scale armor, but in UnderQuest, it looks like he removed the penalty for not being able to use particular skills with just dropping your agility by 1, which I think is very thematic, very cool. This is probably still going to be the best armor in the game. Sick, dude. Then we got the Seer's Brooch. It is worth 3 gold, weighs 1. It's an accessory. Very cool artwork. It says once per dungeon level, you may avoid a skirmish by spending 1 grit. Oh my god. That is sick. Holy moly, dudes. That's insanely powerful. Insanely good loot right there. Any card that lets you skip combats, insanely good. Then we got Flora Tome. Dude, that is beautiful. Look at that, guys. I want this too. That is beautiful. 2 gold. It's worth 2 gold. Weighs 1. It's an accessory. Add 1 to the result of your die roll in the Mushroom Cave. If you search at the campsite, you may take an extra ration instead of rolling to see what you find. Very cool. It's kind of like the field guide, is it, from Iron Helm? Really, really neat. Next up, we got a few more here. We've got the Prayer Beads. It's worth 2 gold. It weighs 1, and it's an accessory. Gain 1 health or heal 1 poison every time you resolve the altar. It cannot be used if you have 0 or less morality. Oh, okay. Okay, very interesting. Then we got the Bone Breaker. Oh, man, look at this thing. It's worth 6 gold. It weighs 3. It's a 2-handed weapon. Add 4 holy damage to all of your successful hits in combat. It cannot be used if you have 0 or less morality. Whoa, okay, more items that are playing into the morality bit here. Very, very neat. Then we got Black Powder. If this lets you skip a combat or something, dude, this is going to be insane. That's the vibe I'm already getting from this. Like, you throw the powder at them. It's worth 3 gold. It weighs 1. It's an accessory. Okay, maybe not. Discard to deal 3d6 damage to your foe. Oh my god. If you roll 2 or more 1s, you fumble and all damage is dealt to yourself instead of the enemy. Holy moly. High risk, high reward right here, guys. That is cool. That is a very cool loot. Ooh, Woodland Boots. Here we go. 3 gold. I don't think we've had any footwear in any of these games in Iron Helm before. And now we've got some in UnderQuest. It's worth 3 gold, weighs 1. It's an accessory. Add 1 to all your initiative rolls before combat. Very cool. Very cool. Then we got the Hidden Stash. It's worth 0, weighs 0. It says NA, not available. Discard this card to gain one of the following: 1 ingredient and 1 trinket, or 1 gold and 1 ration. Very cool. So you can crack open the Hidden Stash and get either of those. And then we got the Iron Sword. So not just an Iron Helm, we also have an Iron Sword now. That is awesome. It's worth 3. It weighs 1. It's a primary hand weapon. And it says the Iron Sword deals 2 extra damage to all successful hits. Holy crap. If you ever roll double 1s when attacking, the Iron Sword breaks and should be discarded. Dang, dude. Sick. That is sick, dude. That is so freaking cool, guys. And then there's a bunch of more loot, dudes. There's a bunch of more loot on the list that we don't have close-ups of, but we can probably take a quick glance at least the names of them here. As you can see on that second row, we've got the Shard Axe. I'm assuming that does ice damage. Yeah, it says the Shard Axe deals 3 ice damage to all successful hits. Very cool. We got the Spiked Mace that adds 2 holy damage to all of your successful hits in combat. We've got the Fortified Shield, subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. Really, really good. Moving down to that third row there, we got the Bleeding Circlet. Once per dungeon level, you may, what is that? You may add health dice, or maybe spend health dice, use health instead of grit. Ooh, I'm not sure. The text is too hard to read. It looks like you'd use health, health instead of grit to do something. Yeah. Oh, to cast an incantation. Okay, so once per dungeon level, you can use health instead of grit to cast an incantation. Okay, that's cool. The Bleeding Circlet. Then you got the Blessed Tunic. That font is super hard to read. Whenever you are to gain a curse token, If the result is something, so I don't know. The font is too small for me to read, guys, but art looks cool. It has something to do with curse tokens. Moving down, you got the compass. You spend one less ration when you encounter the labyrinth. Okay, that's cool. That's like the map basically from Iron Helm. Then we've got the rusty dagger all the way at the end, which we took a look at. Oh, really? So the rusty dagger is a trapping and it's a loot. It looks like a treasure also. Interesting. Then in the bottom row, we got the leather armor. Subtract 1 damage from all enemy attacks. Then you got the longbow. Ooh, I really want to be able to read this because it's a bow. I want to know if it's good. It says you may re-roll initiative in combat. Oh, it's so hard to read. Add 1 damage to all successful hits. Okay, it sounds amazing. From what I can read, that sounds sick. Dude, the magma ring. Oh my gosh, these ring. Dude, I want the frost ring and the magma ring. Oh my goodness, those are amazing. Those are amazing. Those are beautiful. I want those rings in real life. It says whenever you successfully deal damage, you add 1 additional fire damage to your attack, and you gain something. I don't know. You gain something when you're at the campsite, when you do a cook action at a campsite. Sorry, guys. The font is super blurry trying to scroll in on those, but it looks like that is it, guys. That's all of... oh, you know what? This is the trinkets and the treasure combined. I just realized this image I have up on screen right now. This is the trinkets and the treasure combined. Okay, so yeah, the rusty dagger is part of the trinkets. So that's all the stuff right there, dudes. That's like all the loot, basically, that you're going to have access to in the game. Amazing, dude. Amazing stuff. All of the art came out fantastic for those. It looks so, so good, dudes. So you're going to be getting a lot of interesting loot in UnderQuest. Next up, we've got the trinkets. We're getting to the end of it here, guys. The trinkets are going to be the very last thing that we take a look at. And Jason says, you will still find gold in UnderQuest. Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. But more likely, you will find a trinket. Trinkets are items of value that an enemy may be carrying or you may find during a random encounter. Trinkets could include items like a smoking pipe, a pouch of pearls, an ivory comb, a silver candlestick, or more. They will each have a set gold value and can be used as gold during trade or in any circumstance that requires gold. Additionally, you may find parts of a particular object in the trinkets deck, and if you collect them all, you will get that item. Cool. So we're going to take a quick peek at the trinkets in the game. And we've got, it looks like 16 trinkets right here, guys. We've got the raw amber, the ancient coin, the exquisite pipe, the wine bottle, the ivory comb, rusty key, green marble, loose pearls, the scrimshaw, which looks like a tooth, an engraved tooth, a wand shaft, a forgotten note, an amethyst, a carved gnome, a romantic poem, wooden dice, and the purple marble right there. Cool. So we'll take a glance at these and see what these do. Very, very interesting. This little trinket mechanic that you could trade these in, sort of like currency. The raw amber says that you may discard an amber to add 2 fire damage to a single attack. So not only can you sell these, you can actually like use these as like, seems like one-time use, like consumables. Very cool. It says item 1 of 2 required to create the fire wand reward card. No way, dude. So if you get the raw amber and the wand shaft, you can combine them. I'm assuming. I'm assuming that's what you combine it with. Dude, that is sick. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Then we got the ancient coin. It says, if Borko is your companion, that's cool. Borko is coming back. He was in Iron Helm. He was a henchman in Iron Helm. If Borko is your companion, you may trade the ancient coin with him for a random treasure card. Oh, okay. Then we got the exquisite pipe. If you encounter Sortab, dude, so many names coming back, you may give him an exquisite pipe and he will perform 2 actions for you instead of 1. The wine bottle. If you encounter the talking dead, you may give the skeleton this empty bottle and you will not have to make a mind check. The ivory comb says if you encounter the delirious recluse, you may give her the ivory comb and you will decipher her words without a mind check. In addition, she will also give you 2 ingredients. Dude, this is so cool. The rusty key. You may discard the rusty key in order to redraw a new treasure card, but you must take the new result. The green marble. Marbles are more valuable in sets. Collect different colored marbles to increase the value of your set. Number of marbles in set / value. It says 1 of 1, 2 is 3, 3 is 5, 4 is 7, and 5 is 9. Whoa, very interesting. Then we got loose pearls. If you encounter the gibbering fool, you may give him the loose pearls. Doing so moves you up 1 space on the morality tracker and gains you 1 experience. The Scrimshaw says if you encounter Lyra, the mermaid, you may show her this Scrimshaw and she will give you the Conch reward card for free. Then we've got the Wand Shaft, item 2 of 2 required to create the Ice Wand reward card. Forgotten note, it says this item has 0 value, but for some reason it brings you peace. You must spend 2 grit to drop the Forgotten note. Very interesting. Amethyst, you may discard an Amethyst to add 2 ice damage to a single attack, and it's item 1 of 2 required to create the Ice Wand reward card. Very cool, dude. So you combine that with the Wand Shaft to get the Ice Wand reward card. The Carved Gnome, oh, that's cool. The Carved Gnome belongs to the merchant Kame back at the Lonely Troll Inn. It has the value of 3 when trading with him. Okay. Romantic Poems. You may discard the Romantic Poems while resting at the campsite to gain 2 grit. The Wooden Dice. You may discard the Wooden Dice in order to re-roll initiative in combat. That's cool. And then the Purple Marble. Once again, like the Green Marble, is more valuable in sets, and you collect different color marbles to increase the value of your set. So I'm a little confused because it's only showing 2 trinkets here. So I'm actually wondering, guys, if this is not all of the trinkets. I think there's going to be even more trinkets than that. That's just like 16 of the trinkets, if I'm not mistaken, guys. So, wow. Okay, that's going to be even more than I was aware of. Very, very cool mechanic right there. I like that there's still going to be gold, but that is even more interesting. It's like gold that has actual like abilities and effects that you can use. Insanely cool. Love the trinkets. And last but not least, guys, are the encounters. So I thought the trinkets were the last ones, but it turns out there was like, I guess, an omission, or maybe in that post that Jason made at that time, he just didn't mention the encounters. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the encounters. And from what I can see, it looks like there's 24 encounters, unless there's going to be more, but I would imagine this is probably going to be all of them. So you can see there are all of the encounters right there, 24 unique encounters. And we're going to go ahead and take a closer look at some of these encounters right here. So right here, we've got the Bog of Eyes. It says, we'll go over a few of these. It says, your heart begins to pound when your mind starts to piece together the horror before you. A swamp with thousands of floating eyes, all peering at you, brings a sharp chill up your spine. In the middle is a small island with a chest. You may attempt to wade through the thick and sticky fluid to get to the chest. Make a brawn check. If you fail, you gain 1 poison token and 1 curse token. And if you succeed, you gain 1 treasure card, 1 ingredient, and 1 trinket. Cool stuff. Next up, we got the Portcullis. It says, before you stands a large iron gate. On the other side, it looks to be an old storage room lost to time. Maybe the Portcullis can be lifted. Make a brawn check. If you fail, you lose 1 grit. If you succeed, you gain 1 treasure card and then discard this card. And it's got the little like red skull symbol there. It says you gain 1 combat quest token if you succeed your brawn check on the first try. Oh, cool. So you'll get that token if you succeed on the first try. That's amazing. You may automatically succeed at opening the Portcullis if you discard the mysterious key. Oh, very nice. So another way to use that mysterious key item. Very, very cool. And then I'll just briefly mention the names of the other ones. I'm not going to go into all of these. We got the Will-o'-the-Wisp encounter. There is Under Pressure. We got the Toad Priest, the Sarcophagus, the Talking Dead. There's Sortab. That is so cool. Our boy Sortab right there. We got the, and it's cool too, because like those trinkets that we were looking at, like you could bring that 1 trinket over to Sortab and give it to him, and he'll reward you for it. Very cool. We got the Rising Waters encounter, Riddle Rock. That's fun to say, Riddle Rock. We got the Portcullis that we took a look at. The Pigman is back. Oh man. We got the Pendulum Tray. He's probably got himself into some kind of pickle. Yep, I see he's tied up down there in the bottom of the card in the picture. Always getting himself into trouble. We got the Pendulum Trap, the Old Bridge. We got Lyra, the mermaid, who you could bring, what was it? Was it the comb to or something like that? And she'll give you a conch shell or something like that. Then we got In the Shadows, the Frost Trap, the Gibbering Fool, the Fruit Tree, the Fire Trap. That's cool. There's some traps. The Delirious Recluse, the Cow, the Cave Fox, the Bog of Eyes that we just took a look at, Batros. Interesting. And the All-Seeing Eye. Very cool stuff right there. So those are all of the encounter cards right there. Not 100% sure how that's going to work in the game. I might have gone over it and already forgot, but that's all of them right there. 24 of them, guys. The artwork, of course, once again, incredible, super consistent all the way through. All of the cards in the game looks awesome, and that's going to add a lot of depth to the game. I love how you can bring different items to certain encounters. It's going to make every playthrough feel so unique and so different and really feel like its own unique adventure. And finally, to round things out, guys, now that we've gone through all of the different types of cards in the game, I'm going to go over the components and different little extra pieces that Jason has shown us throughout the months leading up to the release of UnderQuest here. And he has revealed that there are going to be tokens, again, very similar to Iron Helm. So you're going to have your health token, your poison tokens, your gold, your grit now instead of energy. I'm assuming that the red token with the skull is probably a curse token. You got your rations. You've got another token over there on the right. It's like gray with like a red like star. I'm not too sure what that one is. And then we've got the like quest tokens down at the bottom. And I imagine you're going to gain those whenever you complete those semicircular icons on the encounter cards or on the dungeon cards. You'll get these tokens, and that's how you're going to progress through the game. So yeah, I like that. Honestly, I'm glad that he's bringing back the tokens because it has this really nice like tactile feel to the tokens, and that's how I prefer to play. But if you don't prefer that, he's also releasing these, which are going to be stat tracker cards. So you can use little cubes and track your stats for your health, your grit, your poison, your rations, your gold, your experience, and your curses right there. Cool. So that's going to be an option for you as well. Again, if you don't like the tokens. And there's even a third option. There are going to be character sheets that you can use to keep track of all your stats of your character and use little tracking cubes to track all of your stuff on there. Write down the different things you have in your inventory. And that's going to appeal to people that are, really want to immerse themselves in that sort of nostalgic D&D type vibe where you've got a character sheet. You can draw a little image of your character, and you just use a pencil to jot things down and erase and change your stats and stuff. So really, really neat that he's introducing multiple ways into the game to keep track of all your stats and stuff. Next up, check this out, guys. This is the playmat for UnderQuest. It is beautiful, guys. It's got slots at the top for the different decks of cards. And then very similar to Iron Helm, it's got the 4 doors down at the bottom. The second one from the left is where you're going to set your dungeon deck. Then you'll put 2 cards face down to the right of it, choose one to go to, or push your luck. And then there's a discard pile for those all the way to the left. And it looks like you can keep track of your different quest tokens right above there. It's got those 4 tokens right above the 2 doors in the middle to keep track of those. So really, really cool. The artwork is absolutely beautiful. And then it looks like there's a tableau out in the middle, which you're probably going to use to keep track of your the dungeon cards that you've gone through. So rather than discarding all of them to the discard on the left, I imagine the ones that you flip over and actually resolve, you're going to add to a tableau, much like in Tin Realm. And that's how you're going to complete those little semicircular icons and match those up in order to gain your quest tokens to progress through the story. Also, in addition to that, there's going to be an extra mat, and it looks like it's also a full-size mat that's going to go on either side of the playmat. So it's for right or left-handed players, and you're going to be able to have your race and class cards there, as well as your headgear, your body gear, your primary hand weapon, your offhand weapon, and it looks like there's a bunch of space for your inventory to hold extra cards as well. And there's a section up above that I'm not 100% sure what all of that is, to be honest with you. It's hard to see in this image. It looks like there's some slots for some more cards, maybe trappings and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe your companion, I think, might go up there. Your familiar. Yeah, it says race, class, familiar, and companion. Yeah, it's got 4 slots for those up there as well. So really, really cool. Tons of space. It's got slots for all of the different types of decks that are going to be in the game. Super stoked on that. And once again, very cool that it's for left or right-handed players. You could put that on either side of the mat right there. Amazing. And then last but not least, guys, Jason is including a promo card. It's going to be, according to Jason, the last card ever created for Iron Helm. It is a character called Grubrot. He looks amazing, dude. Once again, he went with the faded purple and blue, the Skeletor colors. Once again, it looks so good. It looks like he's holding the Raven Staff. Yeah, trappings, Raven Staff, and robes. And his skill is alchemy. So you're going to get 1 final character to play as in Ironhelm, and you bet your butts we're definitely going to play as Grubrot in Ironhelm. I'm going to have to bust out Ironhelm again just to give Grubrot his fair shake, and that way we'll have gone through all of the characters there. But there it is. And then, of course, guys, the beautiful artwork for the box of UnderQuest, and it's so cool, man. It's so cool to see this game come to life here. I know Jason has put so much time, thought, and effort, and blood, sweat, and tears into creating this game over the past couple of years. UnderQuest started out as almost a different game. As he mentioned, he felt like he was veering off the path and wanted to, kind of right the ship and get back to the roots of the game and make it more like a spiritual successor to Ironhelm, and he's done it, guys. It is almost done. As of the time of recording this video, the last news that I heard from Jason, I believe he mentioned that either on his X or Instagram or both, that he was just working on the rulebook. And if any of you guys have created games, rulebooks are the least fun and probably the most laborious part, almost in a way, part of making games. I don't know about most laborious, but definitely the least fun, and it's very tedious. So let's all be patient with Jason while he works on the rulebook, and I'm sure he wants to make sure that it's going to be a really stellar rulebook. And as he mentioned too, he wants to make sure that there's nothing omitted, sort of like with Ironhelm, and he's got no limit on the pages this time. So he'll be able to, really flesh out all the rules in the rulebook. So as far as I know, guys, I think that's all that's left, dudes. We're finally about to get UnderQuest in our hands and able to play it. And dudes, buckle up. You're about to see like just dozens of UnderQuest playthroughs. So I hope you like UnderQuest, because that's what you're going to be getting for a long time on the channel. Once I get the game, I know I'm going to be obsessed with it. I know it's going to probably instantly become my favorite game just by everything that we've looked at in today's video. It seems like the perfect game. It seems like, especially for me, it seems like the absolute perfect game. Finding Ironhelm is what started me on this quest, no pun intended, this UnderQuest of going down the rabbit hole of solo player tabletop games. It's incredible. And to see that there's going to be a spiritual successor to Ironhelm that is going to basically be Ironhelm 2.0 beefed up and even better. Dude, I'm never going to want to play anything else. So just get ready, guys. And to be fair, I'm going to play other things too, but I'm going to be playing a lot of UnderQuest. So I hope you guys are excited for it, man. I know I am unbelievably excited, and I'm sure Jason obviously is extremely excited to finally be done with UnderQuest and to get this game out for all of us to play and enjoy. And I'm sure he is extremely proud of it, as he should be, because what an undertaking. It looks amazing, guys. It looks incredible. So as far as I know, the game is going to be available on the Game Crafter once the game launches. I'm sure there's going to be a crowd sale. I'm sure it's going to break records. Jason already has, I think, like the top 8 out of 10, maybe even 9 out of 10 highest selling crowd sales on the Game Crafter. So he is, he's crushing it. And I imagine UnderQuest is just going to absolutely blow it out of the park, man. Or is that a term? Blow it out of the park? Now it is. UnderQuest is going to blow it out of the park, guys. He's going to blow it out of the water, knock it out of the park, all that stuff. It's going to be incredible. So I hope you guys are excited for it, man. If you are, put your comments down below. If you watched the entire video, guys, if you got all the way here to the end, what could you put in the comments? Put down in the comments alien mushrooms. Find some kind of way to incorporate alien mushrooms into your comment to let me know that you made it all the way to the end of the video. And if you don't have that in your comment, I'm going to know you didn't watch it all. And it's fine, guys. I appreciate if you watch 10 seconds of the video, but if you made it all the way to the end, dude, and you put alien mushrooms in your comments somehow, you're an absolute legend, dude. You are a champion, and you are obviously a true UnderQuest fanatic like I am. So again, guys, sorry for the video being super long, but if you're still here, obviously you appreciate it, and you appreciate all the detail that I went into looking at most of the cards in detail and giving you my thoughts, and of course giving you Jason's thoughts and all his ideas and everything behind the creation of the game. So there it is, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Let's get hyped for UnderQuest, guys. If you're excited and if you like the video, hit the thumbs up like button, hit the red subscribe button, and click the bell to stay notified for whenever I upload brand new videos. And guys, when UnderQuest comes out, like I said, there's going to be a bunch of brand new videos, a bunch of playthroughs of UnderQuest, and this is the place to go for UnderQuest playthroughs and content whenever it drops, guys. So I hope you're going to be here for it. I hope you join the Game Night Army over here with us, dudes. And yeah, appreciate all you guys to death. Love all you guys. Thank you for all the support. And I'm sure Jason is going to be, obviously extremely grateful for all their support as well. And this is the least I can do, man. He's put all this hard work and effort and time into making an awesome game for us to enjoy. So the least I can do is try to help him out and promote it. And no, he did not ask me to do this. I'm not being paid to do this. I am receiving no benefit from doing this other than I just love to do it. And I want to bring the information to you guys and hype up this amazing game. So there it is, guys. Thank you so much for watching, dudes. Have a good one. And I'll see you guys in the next video.